Welcome back in Pokemon fans. My name is Chaos and I am pleased to bring you today's episode of the Premier Draft League and our draft analysis stream. I am not here by myself, but I am joined by the one and only Yimish Tortuga, our esteemed council member. How are you doing, Jimmy?
Oh, what's up, my turtles, or Chaotic Nation in this case, and all of the above. Welcome, PDL fans. I'm super stoked to be here. A little tired, but
Wonder why that is.
I totally streamed till 6:45, but it's fine. We're here. We're gonna do a nice breakdown of the doubles draft, which I was graciously asked by Chaos to help host and whatnot. So yeah.
So if you guys enjoy the commentary throughout the series, throughout the stream tonight, please feel free to check out our links. Jimmy also does content on YouTube, streams on Twitch, and, posts on Twitter occasionally too, when he needs to. But feel free to check him out, and of course my links are all there. You can also use the appropriate social command in my chat to get any of my links, whether that be YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or even if you want to join the Discord server. And of course, we would be remiss if we did not mention our sponsor for this season, the Invisible Corporations. Jimmy and I both work very hard on that channel. Jimmy's currently doing an Ocarina of Time randomizer over there, and I am finishing up Mario 64 Let's Play and going to be doing some Fire Emblem really soon. So if you want to check out that, plus our other creators on the channel, feel free to check out Invisible Corporations, !IC will take you to their YouTube channel. But enough of that. We're going to be trying to keep this as fast as possible. There are a lot of teams, a lot of draft picks, as each team gets 12 draft picks. But Jimmy, if you want to explain the format real quick before we jump into it.
Yeah, so the doubles format is a 4v4 best of 3 kind of VGC style. Just VGC style, I guess, is the biggest thing. So that basically means any Pokemon that can Dynamax is allowed to Dynamax. Only particular Pokemon are allowed to Gigantamax. But if you didn't get that Gigantamax Pokemon, I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe like Hatterene is on the screen right now. If you got the regular Hatterene, you could only Dynamax it. You specifically had to do the Gmax Hatterene in order to get the Gmax version of that. So each team had to draft one Gmax Pokemon, as well as we have a restricted tier, which is basically just legendaries. And then a certain tier 1, tier 2, a couple tier 3s, and a couple tier 4s were required for each team to get. And then some free points to fill the 12 slots.
So we're going to be breaking down all of our teams. We've had an exciting season, some pretty awesome names, and a returning champion from last season to start us off. So let's get into it with Gentleman Haunter and his team. First pick, which is Rillaboom, which is quite ironic if you watched last week's draft analysis of the singles, because Rillaboom was drafted first overall in both leagues. Rillaboom is a very offensive Pokemon, can be an absolute menace to opponents, especially with its grassy terrain ability, has a hidden ability, plus Grassy Glide, which is a new grass-type priority move that allows you to move faster in grassy terrain. So Rillaboom can really make use of that, as well as some other utilities in things like knockoff for item removal. It has Taunt to stop opponents trying to set up statuses, hazards, and you name it. So it can do a lot of different things. It has pretty good coverage as a starter Pokemon. It's a well worthwhile draft pick, and good luck using it this season, Haunter.
It's a very good first draft pick, and the fact that it goes in both singles and doubles just shows you how awesome this Pokemon is, especially with the Grassy Surge, as you mentioned, with the Grassy Glide to move faster and have priority in the terrain. And this is the first example of, you see Rillaboom, it's not the Gigantamax one, so this is the first example of that. All right, so we're going to move on to the second pick, which was the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, which is ironically my team, going with Kyogre. Kyogre being the first restricted tier overall of the draft and whatnot. Kyogre, obviously, with the Drizzle ability in this generation, of course, we will be playing in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which changes to Heavy Rain, which for this one, it's just, it's raining and whatnot. So a good rain setter, very obviously it's a legendary, so the stats all around this are very, very good, with its lowest stat being its defense and speed at 90. It's which is still pretty high. But the biggest thing that you would have to worry about with this is the Origin Pulse, which is a very, 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 very strong water move, special attacking move, and this is just a really, really good first pick. Awesome rain setter for this, and in doubles, of course, you can expect the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, maybe a rain team. I don't know. We'll see what they decide to pick after that.
Yeah, I like what Jimmy said about rain setters. So there are only 3 that have Drizzle as an ability to set up that way. Otherwise, you have to use the move Rain Dance. Kyogre is obviously one of them, and a powerful Pokemon that Jimmy mentioned, that special attack stat, which just 150 is ridiculous. I mean, I know it's a legendary, but it is crazy. And I think it can be even set up by things like Calm Mind, just to add a little bit more insult to injury. And not only Origin Pulse, there's a lot of other good water moves too. I'm seeing Scald if you want some burns to go through. Surf to hit multiple Pokemon. I mean, obviously you got to watch out for your own teammate, but there's an option there. You have access to things like Thunder, which is 100% accurate in rain, allowing you to have a little bit of coverage in other types. And I know it gets access to Ancient Power as well, so we could see some boost if, the Dreadnoughts get lucky this season. So Kyogre are going to be a menace. I mean, it's a legendary Pokemon. What do you expect? A good start to the season, a good start to the draft. Legendary is never a bad way to start, and we'll look forward to some wet and stormy nights for the Herkimer Dreadnought's opponents. Moving on to the Ultimate Unknowns, we see a Dragofish. Speaking of rain, we have something that works absolutely awesome in rain. The only problem with Dragofish is it's kind of a little bit slow. Often you see this thing with a Choice Scarf, but typically you're just going to click Fishious Wren, which just does absolute massive amount of damage to your opponents. It can be very threatening and a really good solid pick to start off a draft. Has access to a lot of the Elemental Fangs. Psychic Fangs and Crunch come to mind, so good coverage as well. And honestly, this thing can just wreck shop, so we'll see how it works.
And Dragofish is just super scary, like I said. One of the things that you mentioned is the fact that it's just a powerhouse. While it's not the fastest thing in the world, it is definitely, the biggest thing in that Dragofish has is that Fishious Rend. You don't want to get hit by that because it's so strong. It's just so strong. And then again, it's if all of a sudden, maybe some of that rain that we just talked about, Fishious Rend in the rain, that doesn't sound fun to face. So very good, very, very good first pick for the Ultimate Unknowns. Moving on to the Sassy Squirtles, picking up Calirex, the Shadow Rider Calirex to be precise, as the brand new legendary of the Galar region and whatnot. So what this thing can do is the first is that it has the ability as one. It has basically 2 abilities in one. So it has Unnerve and Grim Neigh. When a Pokemon knocks out the target, Utter Varied Terror Neigh, which boosts its special attack. So let's take a quick peek at its special attack. Shadow Rider, a special attack of 165 base. So this thing can hit like a truck. You want to be very, very careful facing this thing. And again, it's still relatively new, so I don't know too much about it personally, but it is definitely going to be a powerhouse to kind of deal with. So a fantastic first pick for the Sassy Squirtles.
A lot of things Calirex can do is based off its moveset. It has things like Hex and Will-O-Wisp. You can do it that way, shut down physical attackers and also do a lot of damage. You have an awesomely powerful Stab, Ghost-type Astral Barrage, which does 120 base power and it hits adjacent foes. It is busted. Can also set up Calm Minds if it wants to be more defensive. Has access to a lot of coverage moves, specifically Recovery and Giga Drain, which is massive to do just sit there and keep taking hits and keep dishing out damage if it just keeps getting, it can just take some hits too. You can see this thing rerunning more defensively just to hold out a little bit longer. Things like Nasty Plot to set up as well. Not bad moves on the physical side either. I mean, it's not a great physical attacking Mon, but it can also be used that way. Has utility in things like Ally Switch to switch around its Pokemon, although I doubt that will be seen. It's probably going to be more of an offensive Pokemon this season. But can be a nice tactician in that regard too. Life Dew and Healing Pulse to just add some insult to injury. Can set up as well with Psychic Terrain as a move, and gets access to screens. Gets access to Expanding Force in terrain, which, as we know with Hatterene, can do with some damage.
Oh, gosh.
Plus, you think about that ability with Grimnay. Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
No, that's a lot of damage.
Thank you, Billy Mays. We'll move on to the Wisconsin Woopers choosing Buzzwall. If you guys ever wanted to get Jax, here's your time. Take a look at Buzzwall. We got a fighting and bug type, which honestly is a really good typing, whichever way you look at it. Defensively, sure, it's got some weaknesses, but the typings kind of match to cover the weaknesses. Think of a psychic type to deal with a fighting type. You have a bug type move to just one shot back. You think of a flying type's really going to be the only thing that's going to do any damage to this. And I'm pretty sure he gets access to rock type moves too. So you have to be careful about the Buzzwall. Of course, an Ultra Beast having Beast Boost is always a great ability because you can set up attack stat to be at 252 max out, and that's off of 139, and you're gonna boost that one phase every turn. That can do a lot if you're one-shotting your opponent. A lot of fighting type moves, different utility there, a lot of coverage in punches and jabs and those kind of things you would expect from a fighting type to have. So you can check all that out. And I'm getting Billy Mays spammed in the chat, so I'll let you take it.
I wasn't gonna say anything. Yeah, really, the biggest thing that this Pokemon really has to worry about is its weakness to flying and whatnot. I'm seeing like a couple, not too many rock type moves, but at the same time it's got some like thunder moves and whatnot. I see Thunder Punch on its list, so it can get that coverage to be able to deal with these flying types that are its threat. And obviously it's not the fastest thing on the field, but it's still very bulky. That attack stat, as Chaos mentioned, is just insane. So you'll see this a lot, obviously. It's gonna be a lot, but very, very good first picks, and very curious to see how the Wisconsin Woopers continue on in their draft. Moving on to the Vermont Vikavolt, picking up a Dracozolt. So Dracozolt, obviously one of the new fossils of the Generation 8 games. Has some very interesting abilities and whatnot between Volt Absorb and Hustle. Hustle, I think Dracozolt is a little bit better with Hustle personally. But this is my personal thing. Obviously, the accuracy of everything goes down, but it just hits that much harder. Now, this is where the Dynamax really comes into play. You could see a Dynamax Dracozolt with Hustle get that boost, but because it's Dynamax, it gets that accuracy. That is one of the biggest things that you see with Dracozolt. And of course, its signature move, Bolt Beak, it stabs the target with its electrified beak. But here's the kicker: if the user attacks before the target, meaning it's faster, the power is doubled, and it's already a base power of 85. So that's pretty scary altogether. So very, very nice pick. Like I said, as you're going to hear that throughout the entire draft for the first one for the Vermont Vikavolt.
It has access to a lot of moves too. You see a lot of fire type moves, electric and dragon, obviously both stab. Access to earthquake. Some nice special moves too. You could see a random Draco Meteor thrown in there just to throw opponents off guard. Access to taunt. Got bulldoze for utility. Aerial Ace if it wants to go big. There's another way to boost its speed stat, making that Bolt Beak even better. But even if it doesn't use Hustle, I think the other two abilities work well. Volt Absorb is also a really nice defensive ability in case you have a very strong electric type and you don't really have a ground type on your team, or you need that. You can always use that as an ability, although I do think Hustle would be used more likely. And then you do have access to things like Sand Rush too, so you know, if you want to run a Sand team, or if you're fighting a Sand team, you have a counter to that. Bolt Beak wouldn't be the best situation in that, but you know, it does have coverage for some other moves, so it can make use of it. And I don't think I've ever seen a Dragozolt work, so I'm excited to watch this be used this season. Up next is the Orange County Mega Sceptiles and Coach James. The thing I wanted to mention here as we get to this pick is this is a snaking draft, so the picks go in order and then it starts at the last person they pick twice. So that's why you see Orange County Sceptiles on the clock and Orange County Sceptiles on the deck too. But they take a Gmax Snorlax, which is a big player. Snorlax is notorious for being unkillable, but you give it its Gmax form and it can just replenish its berries over and over again, causing massive problems. Snorlax as a normal type gets a lot of utility in different things, a lot of type coverage, a really good ability in like Fix That and immunity to Toxic, even if you want to do that. So we can have a fun time with Snorlax this season and look forward to this thing doing some damage.
And here we see our first Gmax of the season get pulled in in round 1 here, which is very, very epic. So Gmax Snorlax, like you said, it's just a powerhouse. It's defensive. It has a lot of HP. It's very, very hard to take down. And then, of course, it just replenishes its berries to be even more bulkier. You can also use this thing to set up with a belly drum and again, then with the berries. So then you have a +6 Snorlax to deal with. It's just all around scary, and not looking forward to facing that thing in my personal opinion. So it's just that's all I gotta say. Is just I just look forward to seeing how it's used with that tree on its belly. Moving on, round 2. Again, the snake pick for the Orange County Mega Sceptiles. Going with one of the best VGC mons out there is Togekiss. Togekiss being super bulky and just super versatile and just an all-around pain in the butt. The fact that Togekiss is constantly used with Follow Me. You can also run an offensive Togekiss, typically known as a Crit Kiss, and it's just all around just a very versatile mon, able to get I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so good.
Plus, the Crit Kiss gets boosted with Serene Grace, allowing it to just double the output of secondary effects on moves. So you see things like Flinch Kiss happen too, where you just spam Air Slash. This thing has a lot of utility as well, as Jimmy was mentioning. Tailwind I think is an option for this thing. Thunder Wave if you want to do a little bit of speed control. Follow Me, as was already mentioned, is very usable in doubles. If you want to have something else on the other side of your field, just start setting up and starting to wreck shop. Togekiss has the defenses to do that and really can do it quite well. Flying and Fairy also is a really good type offensively, so it can do a lot of damage there as well. Picking up the next pick for the Vermont Vicavolts, we got Tyranitar. So this is going to be pairing well with that Dragozolt. As I mentioned with the Sand Rush ability, Tyranitar has Sandstream, which sets up the sand, allowing that Dragozolt to be moving faster, and you see the start to a sand team here. Really not a core going on. I mean, you have a dragon type, but I guess Tyranitar kind of matches that okay. It's not the best pairing there, but I think with the weather, it's going to do a lot. Tyranitar known for being one of the great pseudo-legendaries of the Pokemon franchise. Most likely weakness policy is what's been seen, although you have to watch out for that quad weakness to fighting, which can cause some problems. Honestly, great stats overall. The only thing that is lackluster is speed, which, I mean, does give it access to a slower team. If you want to run maybe some Trick Room shenanigans, or you see that happening on some people's teams, you can, obviously invest in 0 speed IVs and do some work. I mean, Tyranitar does have a Nerve as another ability. Unless you think berries are going to happen, it's probably not going to happen too much, but it has a lot of utility and coverage moves, and water, ice, fighting, ghost, dragon, normal, fire, steel. Like it, the list goes on what Tyranitar can do. Very powerful Pokemon, and he can do a lot. So it's gonna be a threat.
Yeah, that's literally what I was just gonna say. It's like Tyranitar. I'm looking at the move set. It's like it just keeps going. It's like you keep scrolling and whatnot on this page here, and it gets access to a lot of versatile moves and whatnot as well. But yeah, as far as the abilities though, I expect to see more or less a Sandstream Tyranitar. I can't imagine to see too much of the unnerved Tyranitar. Just because I just don't see it, especially in the doubles, setting up the Sandstorm and boosting that special defense. Which I mean, it's not like it's lackluster, but it does boost the special defense of what is it? Is it just ground or rock or?
I think it's ground, rock, and steel.
Ground, rock, and steel. Yeah, so
Something
it's very good in that regard. So. Looking forward to seeing that paired with the Dracozolt, again, with the potential of the Sandrush, which making that faster. Moving on, we see our next Gmax Pokemon for the Wisconsin Whoopers is the Gmax Toxicity. Gmax Toxicity getting that Gmax Stun Shock, which can either paralyze or poison, depending on RNG. With that, but a very interesting pick with this one. Toxicity is definitely more of a special attacker than physical attacker, but very good special attack at a base of 114. Defense is not the greatest, a little on the slow side, but get it to if you get it set up properly, it does a very good job of doing a lot of damage. It has a few abilities, also 2 different forms depending on the abilities. For the amped form, it has Punk Rock plus and Technician, and low key form is the same except it has the minus ability. So when you pair the plus and minus, you get a special attack increase by 50%. I don't expect to see all that much. Typically, I personally run Toxicity with Punk Rock, which increases the damage of sound-based moves by 30%. So that goes with Overdrive, Boom Burst, moves like that.
And part of the added effect of that sound move is there's the new item Throat Spray, which can increase your special attack on stage. So this is a notorious pairing of Toxicity and Throat Spray. You get something set up +1 special attack, and then you hit something with Gmax Stun Shock. You know, it's not the fastest thing in the world, so it can allow it to outspeed opponents at that point in time, as well as, you know, whittling your opponent down with poison is not a bad option either, especially if you have a nice defensive counterpart to deal with. So, also, electric and poison are 2 really good offensive typings. Maybe not the best defensively, because you do have that quad weakness to ground, but just can do a lot of damage to your opponent. So look out for Gmax Toxicity, and probably actually one of my favorite Gmax moves of the series. Up next is the Sassy Squirtles choosing Cinderace, and I'm pretty sure we do not have Libero banned in doubles. I know it is banned in singles, but I don't think so in doubles, which makes Cinderace a jack of all trades. Literally can change its typing at will. So that's always fun, and it gets stabbed on every single attack it does. So that's very annoying, and you can see why it's banned in singles. But this is VGC, and we don't care. So we're going to have a fun time. Cinderace has a lot of good abilities, too, using things like if it wants to Dynamax, it has flying type moves to boost speed, can change to fighting type to boost attack. It can set itself up, and it can just go ham. So this is going to be a threat. Honestly, all 3 of the Galar starters are good, but Cinderace with Libero, very scary. Probably the scariest.
Yeah, Libero makes it like just so, and I've used this word so many times already, versatile. And the ability, the fact that it just changes its type at will, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna use Poison Jab. I'm a poison type now. I'm gonna use Power Ball. I'm a fire type again, and it's just it's so scary to think about. The other thing with Cinderace is the fact that it's super fast too. So more than likely, it's going to be one of the first things to go on the field. So you think you're going to shoot it maybe like with a hydro pump or something like that? No, it's going to go first. It's going to go first. Change its typing to maybe it has Thunder Punch to an electric type. So now it's not going to do as much damage as it would like to a fire type. So it's just a very, very good second pick for the Sassy Squirtles. Not looking forward to facing this thing. Again, with the ability to Dynamax boost its speed again, it's just very, very good. Moving on to the Ultimate Unknowns, picking Gengar. Gengar, speaking of fast Pokemon, one of the fastest, I think, is Ghost types. Also, with that amazing special attack at 130, Gengar is a force to be reckoned with. Very fast, hits very hard, very offensive mon, getting relatively decent coverage as well as I'm scrolling through their moves. And it just looks like it's going to be one heck of a mon to deal with. Also, you got to be careful touching this mon. Physical moves, you have a 30% chance of getting that physical move disabled, so be very, very careful when using physical moves on Gengar. But also getting access to priority move like Sucker Punch, it gets Shadow Ball, and again, some more versatile moves as well.
Something not really used with Gengar, but I'd love to see it use the Scream. It does have access to Trick Room, so if you want to run Trick Room Gengar, have a fast Pokemon set it up immediately, then maybe get your slower secondary mon to destroy your opponents. You know, you have that option there. As Jimmy mentioned, Curse Body can be an absolute nuisance. It is an RNG. It's a roll. So hopefully the odds be ever in your favor. But you know, it can be a nice thing to have. It can be also very detrimental to your opponent. So a nice little cheeky bit of play style for my Ghost type, and Gengar can do a lot, especially with that really good special attack stat and those coverages. So Gengar can do the work. Next, the Herkimer Dreadnought is choosing technically their mascot, Dreadnought. Yeah. I think it's regular Dreadnought is what it's based off of, but Gmax Dreadnought does the same thing. You see that Rain team coming in here. Swift Swim on Dreadnought is a absolutely great ability because a rather slower Pokemon that is pretty offensive turns into an absolute destructive piece of destruction. It could rival Godzilla for power, honestly. The Gmax Stone Surge is a very annoying Gmax move too because it sets up rocks, and entry hazards are not things you see in doubles a lot, so it's probably something that's going to be under prepped for, but coaches now have to keep that in consideration when they're facing Dreadnought. Good coverages too. It's got some bite moves as well, and it's going to be a menace this season.
Yeah, biggest thing is once again, like you said, is the fact that it has Swift Swim. So obviously paired with that Kyogre, it manages to get it becomes not quite as fast to kind of being a little bit more scary in that regards. Dreadnought obviously has the massive weakness to grass, being a water rock type, so that is the only thing. I'd say one of the only things to worry about with Dreadnought in that regards. But again, other abilities, Strong Jaw, Shell Armor is another one that it gets, so it can't be crit. Strong Jaw, making those bite moves that much stronger. But definitely, once again, a force to be reckoned with, and its attack is pretty decent too. I don't have it up right now, but. Yeah, I'm Herkimer Dreadnought's excited to use that. That is
115 attack stat.
115 attack stat. It's pretty good.
Good for.
Yep, pretty good. Moving on, Hawaii Haunters to end round 2, picking Clefable. We're talking about with Togekiss with the Follow Me. Clefable also a very common user of Follow Me. Also getting the abilities Unaware. As its hidden abilities, foe stat modifications are ignored. as well as Magikarp and Q-Charm. Q-Charm probably being one of the most annoying abilities out there, but not too much is banned in doubles. It's very bulky mon, very defensive, and helps protect mons very, very well. A fair move pool. As I'm looking through it, but I definitely see this thing more or less being. I've seen this thing being used more to protect the Pokemon, its partner.
This is such a good defensive and utility and cleric Pokemon. Can set up with life due to support. Has access to ally switch. Obviously, the redirection that Jimmy mentioned. Access to the teleport for switching out. If you want to set it up, stored power can be an option. It's got Moonblast. It's probably not going to be that offensive, but Fairy is a good Pokemon type to have. It's just like a mono type, and it's a really good offensive type too. Jimmy did not talk about the ability Magikarp or Q-Charm, and despite the fact that I love Q-Charm and I don't think it's going to show up, I'd really like to see it because 30% infatuation can be very annoying, and I'd love to see it. Also, Magikarp is really nice because it negates things like Toxic. As a defensive Pokemon, negating things that whittle you down is a massive thing you can do to instill longevity. And paired with things like Moonlight, this thing cannot die sometimes. And it has Unaware, which if your opponent is setting up in your face, you can punish that because you just ignore the stats. So, good grab with that Rillaboom. I think they're going to pair nicely together. We start to see a build of a Fire, Water, Grass core and a Fairy Dragon Steel core. Let's see what they pick next, and that is Bronzong. So there's your Steel type coming in. I love Bronzong. It is an amazing Pokemon. I've never used it in doubles or seen it used in doubles, but I know it gets access to things like Stealth Rocks. It has access to 3 really good abilities. Honestly, 2 that are way better than the other one. But Levitate or Heat Proof is a nice choice. It's a mind game with your opponent every week, choosing whether to hit it with a ground type move thinking it has Heat Proof, or hitting with a fire type move thinking it has Levitate. You can get it wrong, and then that could just be enough for your opponent to just win. The thing we have to mention is it is 4v4's best of 3. So once you figure that out, Bronzong is a little bit less, sneaky in that regard. Massive defensive stats, both at 116. Really nothing else to talk about on the Mon, but it does have access to Body Press, so you can make use of that if you want to. Nice utility in spread moves, and as I mentioned, with Stealth Rocks, if you want to use those in doubles. Access to Toxic. Can be cheeky with tricks, changing items in and out, so maybe you want to hold a Toxic Orb and trick that to somebody. Also is a Trick Room setter, so you might see that a little bit more. And probably what you're going to see a lot with utility in this thing, it's either going to be Speed Swap or Ally Switch, causing a lot of havoc on your opponents.
Yeah, I was covering pretty much everything I was about to say. The Ally Switch, obviously, I've seen that on Bronzong. Blech. I'm tired. Sorry. And then just having the Trick Room and whatnot. It's just like you said. It's very defensive. And again, it's like you never know what ability it has. The fact that it is best of 3 does change it up a little bit, but still a very, very good pick for the Hawaii Haunters. But I think, like I said, I think for the most part, Chaos nailed everything. All right, moving on to the Herkimer Dreadnought's next pick is Polytode. So another rain setter. Hidden ability is Drizzle, so it can also set up the rain. Probably outside of Kyogre, the premier rain setter over Pelipper, just because Pelipper gets that 4 times weakness to the electricity, where Polytode does not. But does have some pretty decent defense. It's much more bulkier, and can take a lot more hits and whatnot. It gets a little bit as well in terms of an annoyance. It gets Hypnosis. I've seen it being used. It's like where it puts other Pokemon to sleep. A little bit of a mood. Helping Hand is another thing that it can do to help the other opponent or the other partner. boost its attacking capabilities. So just a very, very good mon. Another way to set up the rain for the Herkimer Dreadnoughts.
Polytode is also a very interesting option with trapping, as you can use Whirlpool and then Perish Song to annoy your opponents. I've never seen it pulled off, but prove me wrong. Water Reserve also is a good ability to have if you don't want to use Drizzle as a way to kind of check water types on the opposing team, because it will absorb that. Damp also, I mean, I've never seen Explosion used in competitive, let alone doubles competitive or a VGC format. But hey, Misty Explosion exists now. Maybe that's an option. Access to coverage in things like Blizzard, Earthquake, Earth Power. Does have access to the very fun to use Weather Ball, which changes type based on weather. So that's kind of a utility for anti-weather teams coming in against this very strong rain team with 3 water types on it right now. And it does have access to Toxic too. Things that can lower stats, such as Screech. Can use Amnesia to boost itself. Can even set up Belly Drum if you want to run with Polytode that way. I mean, I've never seen it, but it's there. And I really do like the tech and Icy Wind. I think for a more defensive and slower Pokemon, it helps out with team comp to just get a little bit of speed control there. So that'll be a nice use of it as well. Also gets Metronome, so use it and blow up. It'd be awesome. Up next, the Ultimate of Knowns. They choose in Gmax a Grimstar with that Gmax Snooze, which is very, very annoying, and I'm glad I don't have to fight this thing. Dark and Fairy, great typing. You see that Fairy Dragon Steel Core get a little bit closer to completion, but Grimstar works really well outside of its Gigantamax form, as a Pokemon that has Prankster. It can set up screens, it can set up, statuses. Can do a lot of damage that way, but as a Gmax Pokemon, you're most likely going to see it as an offensive variant, which it gets things like False Surrender, which is very nice and play rough. And I think it even gets access to Knockoff, if I remember correctly. I have to check myself on that one, but could get access to Knockoff pending. No, it does not. But it has some coverage too, and some fighting types. Gets access to Fake Out, which is really nice in doubles. Coverage with Elemental Punches, Leech Life even for recovery if you want to do it that way. Also a great way to lower special attack on your opponent. Side of the field, it honestly has a really good coverage pool as well, and also can learn Metronome, so hopefully it uses that and blows up. It'd be awesome.
Chaos wants to see the
let me blow up.
That's great. That'd be awesome. Obviously, Grimstar getting that prankster ability, as Chaos said, it's like I think a good majority of Grimstar's getting that. But it also gets the ability Frisk, which can reveal the foe's held item, which isn't a bad thing in a best of 3 double situation, because you can get some information off of your opponent in that regards. It's like you don't know what your opponent's running, all of a sudden, boom, Frisk. So that's very, very cool. It also gets access to Spirit Break, which is one of the newer moves of this generation, which hits a lot, which hits pretty hard. Grimstar with the attack of 120 as well, so yeah. All right. Moving on to the Sassy Squirtles, drafting their Gmax Pokemon that I had, or the Herkimer Dreadnoughts had, last season is the Gmax Lapras. Gmax Lapras is just a powerhouse, usually carrying the weakness policy, Gmaxing, and with that Gmax residence, making sure that, which sets up more or less the Aurora Veil, which halves damage from, well, everything. So a very, very bulky mon, very, very powerful, and it just gets that much stronger once you activate that weakness policy. It's very, very good, and it gets a little bit of versatility as well, getting ice moves, obviously, water moves, electric moves, and just an all-around very annoying Pokemon to deal with, and especially if they are able to set up the Aurora Veil.
Yeah, Lapras not maybe so useful in singles, but very much more useful in doubles, just because it is an absolute tanky Pokemon. Can't run Shell Armor as an ability to not be hit by crit. It can run Hydration, so if you try to status it, it's just going to wear it off in rain, which can be set up by itself because it can use a water move. It has Water Absorb too. That's what we've said. Counter water types. Jimmy covered all the typing things, minus Dragon and Rock, which I thought were pretty awesome. As a way to like shut down physical opponents on the other side of the field. And even set up Sand if you want. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. And the big thing with Lapras is Gmax Resonance. It is the best bang for your buck when it comes for a Gmax, because most Gmaxes, their effects of their moves only last 4 turns. Lapras, some reason, gets it for 5. Don't ask me. I'm not Game Freak. They messed up there somehow. But Lapras is very, very cracked in that sense. Does have access to Ice Shard for priority, so it can be annoying. Perish Song if you really want to make yourself more fun. Sparkling Aria if you want to do some burn shenanigans. Weather Ball, again, that's another way to utilize weather, whether that be hail, rain, hail, sleet, snow, hail, weed, deliver what you mail. It could be anything. Everything can come in there. Confuse Ray for confusion. Charm to lower attack. Confide to lower special attack. Double Team to raise evasion. Echoed Voice to hit multiple opponents. Dragon Breath for paralysis. It's got a lot of utility. The list goes on and on with this thing. Shockwave for a 100% water electric type move. Like, it's got a lot. Even Solar Beam in the Sun. Why not? Have it. Let it do it. Let it go for it. Zap Cannon. Run Wide Lens Zap Cannon. Just why not? Let it happen. Just let it happen. Great Pokemon overall. Glad to see it coming back this season. Let's see if it's much of a menace. Up next is the Wisconsin Whoopers grabbing Lucario, the Anubis Pokemon, the Aura Pokemon, and the one thing I love about Lucario, and I say it over and over again, is that it's so versatile. It can be run physically. It can be run specially. Hey, it can be run defensively. It can be run in Trick Room. It can be run in Hyper Offense, Hyper Defense. You choose what kind of playstyle you want with Lucario because it has a really balanced set. It's got really good moves. You can set up a Nasty Plot, set up a Sword Stance. It has Vacuum Wave, Extreme Speed, Bullet Punch. A lot of priorities. And honestly, some pretty good abilities too. I expect to see a lot of justified Lucario. Something with beat up on the team can just let Lucario sit there and getting attack boost. And then this Dynamax and wins. Like, it can be very useful. And very excited to see Lucario in doubles this season.
Lucario's scary.
And
it also has other abilities, justified obviously being one of the biggest ones, but it has inner focus, which means it won't flinch. We mentioned in doubles. We mentioned in doubles a lot of fake out users, so it can't be flinched if it's inner focus. You're expecting justified, but then all of a sudden you use fake out. Inner focus doesn't get flinched and it still wrecks shop. So just be aware of that as well. And then steadfast speed raises by 1 level every time the Pokemon flinches. So you can also flinch the Pokemon, but now it's faster. So it's always it's a really good mon, and not to mention the fact that it is super strong as well. I think I saw 110 attack. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Both attacks 110. Both.
Yeah. But it's so good.
Oh, special attack's 115, sorry.
Special attack for Lucario?
Yeah.
My goodness.
110 attack, 115 special attack.
My goodness. So you can run physical or special.
Uh-huh.
I don't know which one. It's like, oh my goodness. It's a good mon. Very good mon. Well pick for the Wisconsin Whoopers. Moving on to the Vermont Vitavolts, their third pick overall. Tier 2, Chandelure. Chandelure, a Ghost Fire type Pokemon. Look at that amazing shiny, by the way, the sprite, which is amazing. Chandelure is a way not only to potentially set up Trick Room, but a way to prevent it as well. Getting that move in prison and then putting Trick Room on that, meaning your opponent cannot set that up. So a way to make sure, maybe another way to make sure that Dracozolt goes first to be able to use that bulk beak. So a very, very good pick for the Vermont Lycovolts in that alone, right there. Obviously, Chandelure can do a lot more there, but that's the first thing that I saw.
We would be remiss if we didn't talk about that 145 special attack stat, because yikes.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Plus access to things like Clear Smog to shut down targets, stats. So if you want to try to set up against this thing, nope. And off a 145 attack stat, yeah, you don't want to see that. Dark Pulse, Energy Ball, Flamethrower, for coverage, Heat Wave for spread moves on both opponents, and Stab at 145. It's base special attack. Did you understand? It's 145 base special attack, not a legendary, not a pseudo legendary, just kind of cracked. Very powerful Pokemon, lackluster in every other stat, but still there, and also can use Hex with things like Will-O-Wisp to cause problems. I've seen it used as a trick user before, so maybe you're holding a lagging tail and you just suspect it to be a mid-speed Chandelure. Nope, it's got a lagging tail, now you're slow. That a lot of fun. Ally Switch as well, nice utility. Yeah. This thing can cause a lot of havoc and can be run in a few different ways. So, I mean, if you catch a defensive, if you think a defensive Chandelure and you catch an offensive one at 145 base special attack stat, like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You're probably in for a rough time. So it'll be a very fun mind game to be used this season. Orange County Mega Sceptiles are next with the Ragabolt, which is very fast and very good. We talk about good special attack. Here's another one, another really good and fast special attacking ghost type. Dragapult also having that dragon typing and making it fit in on a fairy dragon steel core that we're just missing the steel type for at the moment. Cursed Body again is on this one, so you can see that happen. You have Clear Body as well, which prevents stat loss. So if this thing wants to set up with something like Swords Dance and you're trying to lower its stat, nope, too bad. Also Infiltrator, which can be very annoying to get past some things like Substitute, if that's a possibility on an opponent's team. And can't do a lot with that. It does have a very interesting move. I'm trying to remember what the name is of it, though. It's a 2-turn. It does have Dragon Darts, which can basically spread to moves on both opponents. It does have access to Breaking Swipe 2 to lower attack stats of opponent's team, but I think it's Shadow Force is the one I was looking for, but I don't think that's the right one. Phantom Force, there it is. Which is just absolutely cracked on this thing. Because you can go through a lot of things. You get through protections. So you can't even protect against it. And it's stab. And it's a really good attack stat. So, too. So, I mean, it can be run physically or specially. You typically see it physically. But it does have some utility as well.
Yeah. Well, as Chaos said, it's like its special attack is base 100, which is really good, but its attack is 120. You definitely see more physical Dragapults than you do special, but still very, very, very good. And then it's just fast. It's a base speed of 142. It's just fast. It hits hard and it's fast. So very, very good pick by the Orange County Mega Sceptiles in that regard. And with again, with all of these being able to Dynamax, increase stats, set up the weather for it properly, and depending on what else they decide to do, use it in many other ways as well. But I think the biggest thing with this is the fact that it's fast and it hits hard in both departments. Moving on to the next round, snaking over once again the Orange County Mega Sceptiles, drafting a Landorus. This is the how do you pronounce this? The Therian form, which has a little bit different stats. Excuse me. Than the regular one, boosting that attack base stat to 145, special attack also 105. So once again, just a very, very strong Pokemon. Obviously, being in the restricted tier of the legendary, it's very, very good in that regards. As well as, let me make sure I'm on the right generation here. It gets access to a lot of different moves. Mainly, let's see, what does it get? It's a very good ground type added to the Mega Sceptiles for yeah. I don't know. I don't know this mod. I'm sorry. I'm looking up as we speak. I'm sorry.
We gotta talk about my boy Lando Calrissian, my dude. I love Landorus T. It's my favorite of the genies, and rightly so, because ground and flying is just only weak to, like, only a massive weakness to ice. And I mean 2 times to rocks, but we don't talk about that. It's a good Pokemon. You can see this thing primarily be used on the defensive side, but also can be a physical attacker. I think it's going to be more defensive this season just because, you know, you have doubles and spread moves with Earthquake is not that great. It doesn't have high horsepower, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem with it. But U-Turn gives it utility to switch in and out, Intimidate over and over again on opponents, which can cause problems for physical attackers. Has access to things like Rock Tomb for lowering speed as well. Can swagger opponents if it's, you know, a special attacker and wants to confuse. Also has access to Imprison, so if something wants to use Earthquake on the opposing side, it can do the same thing as Jimmy was mentioning earlier, with Trick Room on Chandelure. And honestly, does have access to Weather Ball too, so if you want to run it in sand, if you want to run it against rain or hail or, you know, whatever, it has access to those as well. But it does hit like a truck. 145 attack stat is nothing to scoff at. Access to knockoff, which is massive in competitive because you can get rid of items, as well as you get to know what the item is too, as we were talking about 4v4, best of 3. Item knowledge and having as much knowledge about an opponent's Pokemon after the first battle is very, very good for you. Even if you don't win, it gives you a sense of what you can do in the next couple matches to bring it back. But honestly, great coverage moves. Does have the ability to go boom, so if it wants to use Explosion, I would love to see that this season. Vermont Vigavolts are up next with Groudon. We saw Kyogre go 2nd overall. We have Groudon coming here, and that kind of looks like a dual weather team with ground coverage with sand as well as sun, because, you know, Groudon's known for running the sun. It's not the Mega form, so it's not gonna have sun. I know, shut up, kids. But it's still a pretty cool Pokemon. It can be run with like fire type moves. Very nice ground type Pokemon to mix with that Tyranitar. Can't even, I guess, you know, set up that Tyranitar if you want to take spread damage and Earthquake and weakness policy. There's a thought for you. Groudon, obviously a very powerful ground type Pokemon. That's a legendary for a reason, folks. But does have access to Drought, as I mentioned, so Sun can be a thing. So we can see some fire type coming in later. Access to dragon type moves, fighting type moves, steel even, high horsepower for ground, but Precipice Blades. Can I say it again? Precipice Blades is just not fun. It shouldn't be legal. It's honestly just cracked. Jimmy talk.
Yeah, I am talking. I was reading the Precipice Blades. I don't even know how to say it either.
Precipice Blades.
Yeah, Groudon obviously being a force to be reckoned with. Powerful ground type added to the Vermont Vigavolts, setting up a maybe potential sun in the future, just kind of covering all their bases. But again, the stats, one of the highest that I think we've seen throughout the entire draft at this point. Definitely one of the highest, if not. Just good. Once again, the lowest stat it has on there is 90. So a base stat total of 670. Gets access to a wide variety of moves. Another one of the things that it can do, it sets up the sun. It adds solar beam. It just goes burr. You know, it just keeps going. So that is a very scary Pokemon that that I'm sure nobody is looking forward to dealing with. Moving on to the Wisconsin Whoopers, drafting the evolved form of their mascot, Quagsire. Quagsire, a water ground Pokemon with the abilities Damp and Water Absorb, and of course its hidden ability Unaware. We've talked about Unaware before. Water Absorb, Pokemon heals if it gets hit by water type moves, and then of course Damp, that explosion self-destructs. So Chaos wants all this explosion to happen. Quag will be like, no. It will not be able to explode. So Quag, I'm sorry, Chaos. Quag is going to ruin your dreams in doubles. I'm sorry.
I'm not worried about it. It'll be unaware. Don't worry about it. Quag also has access to be a defensive Pokemon as well. It just sits there, doesn't die. Toxic is a nice move to kind of whittle down your opponents. Honestly, it's just there to take hits and look happy doing it. Like, it's just like, I ain't gonna die. Try it. Try whatever you want. I ain't gonna die.
You see leftovers on this thing a lot too.
Leftovers Quag is a big thing. It got access to some coverage moves if you want to see it run physically. I mean, it doesn't have bad stats. 85 in both attack and defense, 65 in both specials, but 95 attack, 95 HP. I mean, that's pretty nice. And you know, assault vest maybe could be a set on this thing. Leftovers, yawn even as a nice tech for sleep. Maybe. Does have access to trap things with infestation, as Icy Wind for tech for slowing things down. Muddy Water for lowering accuracy. I mean, heck, this thing, you name it, it's probably got it in some way, shape, or form, and also could be a sand setter if it really wanted to. So maybe it pairs nicely with that Lucario, but nice Pokemon. Really only weak to grass too. So good luck dealing with Quag. Up next, we got the Sassy Squirtles, and they're taking Hitmon top, which, as we've seen in the past, is a wide guard Pokemon. If you ever played Dynamax Adventures, wide guard Hitmon top, a lot of fun. Which can shut down some of your spread moves on opponents, so that's a lot of fun. But Hitmon top not only does that, but it primarily does that. Has abilities like Technician and Intimidate, so it can be a nice user of slowing down offensive Pokemon on the physical side. And honestly, just really great coverage. Access to Bullet Punch for priority. Fake Out as a nice start, as we mentioned in doubles, works well. Mach Punch for priority and stab. Quick Attack even, if you want to be funny. One of probably the most notable things with it is Triple Axle. And a nice Ice type move that hits 3 times. Can break those things like Sturdy or Focus Sash, causing problems with it. And honestly, just works well. Can set up Rain and Sun and Sand. Have fun.
Yeah, have a lot of fun. It's good stuff. Another priority is Sucker Punch I see on it. Again, the Fake Out. Helping Hand, it does get access to Helping Hand, so it can once again help its partner on the field. But I can see Hitmontop constantly switching out with that ability. Intimidate, Faking Out, and whatnot. I'm trying to see if it gets like U-turn or a way to switch, and I'm not seeing it off the top of my head here. But if it can, it would be that much more, I guess, a threat is the way that I'm thinking of it. But yeah, it's very, very good mon. I see this a lot once again with the abilities Intimidate, Faking Out, switching, and doing it all over again. Moving on to the Ultimate Unknowns, another Hitmon going with Hitmonchan, the punching Pokemon from Gen 1, which was one of I believe what was I gonna say? Oh, it was my favorite Pokemon of the Hitmons before Hitmontop was a thing. But getting access to Keen Eye cannot lower the accuracy, or Iron Fist, which increases the power of punching moves by 20%. Very, very good. Of course, it has the hidden ability Inner Focus. I'm trying to talk too fast. I'm sorry. Hidden ability Inner Focus, preventing that flinch there, which is very, very good. Getting access once again to Fake Out, Mach Punch, and of course all the other punches: Ice, Fire, Thunder. It gets all the elemental punches. Close Combat, Focus Punch. Just a very, very good mon with that 105 attack.
Yeah, Hitmonchan also. Oh, it's gonna be really hard. That's no way it changes anything like that. But also probably the best Hitmonchan. The best Hitmon. Sorry, I added Chan because that's the name.
The best Hitmonchan.
The best Hitmonchan. It's really good in the fact that it can be run a lot of different ways offensively. But this thing as an offensive Pokemon, you can slap 4 moves on it, give it an Assault Vest, and just let it not die. It's a lot of fun. You see a lot of special attackers being special. So, I mean, of course, special attackers are special. Psychic Pokemon using special moves. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. So Hitmonchan can do that, live a little bit. Close Combat, great move, got a lot of priorities too. Of course, with the punching, it got elemental punches as well. So you got fire, electric, and ice coverage right there. And access to Drain Punch, access to Sucker Punch, access to Mach Punch. I do not believe Mach Punch. I do not believe Drain. I know Sucker Punch is not boosted by Iron Fist, but still, can do a lot in the ways of just causing problems for your opponent. Another Fake Out user, access to Rapid Spin, which we didn't talk about with Hitmontop, but that can boost your speed stat as well as gets rid of entry hazards. That's probably not going to happen too much, but it's there. And we talked about the Toxicity earlier. It has access to Throat Shock. It stops sound-based moves, so if Primarina comes later, you can stop there. Coaching, another thing that the Hitmons get to boost attack and defense of its allies. So that can be a way to set up your teammate as well. It does have access to Metronome, so it might go off and explode. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool.
Not against Quag.
I would be very happy.
Just not against Quag with that damage.
Shush, do it once. Up next is Hatterene from the Herkenberg Dreadnoughts, drafting one of our mascots of this season of doubles. Hatterene, obviously really good in Sword and Shield as a Psychic Fairy type with honestly great typing, but making a staple as a Trick Room Pokemon. Hatterene's speed stat is abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. It is 29. It's slower than its pre-evolutions. It's 29. I don't think there's many Pokemon that are slower than it. So, honestly, room service on Hatterene could be a thing. And we could see a very nice defensive use for a turn. And then switch straight around and be super powerful next turn. 136 special attack, excuse me. And 95 in defense, 103 special defense. The only thing that's lackluster is that speed and HP, but that helps you out in Trick Room. Coverage moves in Giga Drain, Mystical Fire, which is a really good move that pretty much every fairy type gets down to the lower special attack of its opponents, which is probably something you can see. But notable thing is if we does get paired with something with Psychic Terrain or sets it up itself, can use Expanding Force off that very high special attack stat to destroy things. So that'd be fun.
Yeah, very, very, very good pick. I love Hatterene.
That's Misty Explosion
with
well.
this. The Mystical Fire is not only that, but being a fairy type, it's weak to the steel Pokemon, so it's a way to kind of counter those steel Pokemon. But you said it. It's like a 29 speed stat. Definitely best used in Trick Room. And in doubles, this thing can Dynamax. It will not be the Gmax Hatterene. Per the rules, but it still is very, very good in doubles, and I really look forward to seeing how this gets used this season. While its special attack is definitely up there, I have seen physical Hatterenes used before, so don't sleep on those as well. But yeah, very, very interesting pick. It's not a water type for the Herkimer Dreadnought, so it'd be very, very interesting to see what is done with the Hatterene. Moving on to the final pick of this round for the Hawaii Haunters, it is Zapdos, a regular Zapdos, as a matter of fact, and getting that restricted tier. Zapdos getting the abilities Pressure and Static. Pressure making the opponent's power points or PP lowers by 2 rather than 1, so you got to be more conscious of using your moves rather than just going ham. And then of course Static, you touch it with physical move and it has a 30% chance of being paralyzed, which is not good, which then lowers their speed. But a very good Pokemon overall. Obviously legendary, has amazing, pretty much amazing stats all around. A special attack of 125, getting access to Thunder. It has making sure I'm looking at that the right one. Gets access to Thunder, Magnetic Flux, which is not all that great, and just very, very good Pokemon all around. Agility, Drill Peck. I saw Drill Peck. Yeah, there it is. And then just getting access to maybe even other moves that can change the tide of the battle, depending on weather teams. I see it gets rained at, sunny day, all of that stuff, as well as Volt Switch too. So it can jump in, hit you hard, and then leave.
Been a lot of defensive Zapdos. It's most likely a set that's going to be run here. But it has coverage in things like Psychic, Heat Wave. It works really well in doubles, as we've said. Discharge, even if you want to pair it with a ground type or something that has an electric immunity, and just try to get paralysis on your opponents. It has both U-turn and Volt Switch. Jimmy mentioned Volt Switch, but it can switch out. I've seen a U-turn a lot. Just a nice coverage move. Obviously, the electric type moves are there. Thunder can be usable in Rain if you want to run that up. But even something that works really awesomely on this team, you just have to have something set up electric terrain. It does have access to Rising Voltage. And I know you have to be grounded to do that, and Zapdos being a flying type doesn't have that perk. But a Pokemon like Bronzong that has gravity and can make everything land on the ground, it can make that Rising Voltage times 2 power, which is a 140 base special attacking electric type move off of 125 base attacks that with some investment can just smack opponents. So that's a very, very tactical set that probably is not going to see the light of day a lot, but you know, I look through it, I'm like, that could be something that's fun. The one downfall of Zapdos is it does not explode, so on and just be sad about that. Hawaii Hunter's picking up the next round too on their wheel pick, getting a Dragalge, which honestly sucks. And that's really what I gotta say about it. Finishes Fairy Dragon Steel Core, which is nice. But honestly, there's so many better dragon types out there. Use Dragalge well, prove me wrong. I hate this thing. I drafted it last season and it did not do anything. Adaptability is a really good ability if you want to, just run stab 2 times instead of 1.5 on stab. Poison Touch for chance of poisoning. Poison Point for chance of poisoning. So, I mean, you can poison things or you can get boosted, stab. That's nice. A dragon and poison is a very interesting type, to say the least. But that special defense stat can be very usable. Doesn't really get a lot of utility moves, maybe if it wants to set something up like Gmax Colossal, like I did last season. It can use like Flip Turn to do a little bit of damage, flip out, get a better matchup, and keep going there. Access to Toxic Spikes if you want to run hazards. Other than that, I guess that's really all I gotta say about it.
I know I haven't exactly seen the Dragalge used in Trick Room. It is a little bit on the slower side, but it does have a fairly decent special attack at 97, so it can do some damage. Poison Dragon, interesting typing, of course, but I haven't seen it used too much. It's very interesting, but I do know, like in Trick Room anyway, that it could prove to be a little bit more of a pain. Again, it'll be very, very interesting to see how this thing is used this season. I think that's more or less all I gotta say about this as well. I love how you said that it's like, this thing sucks, move on.
It does. There's a reason it's a free pick.
There's a reason it's a free pick. That's funny. I forget where this thing lies in the tiers.
That's tier 2, I believe.
Yeah, it's tier 2.
I believe.
I have no idea. Moving on to the next pick for the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, drafting Indeedee. So the Hatterene Indeedee female, literally the mascots of the doubles here. Indeedee female just being a bulky defensive Pokemon with the ability Psychic Surge to help Hatterene be able to do what Hatterene does. And this thing is scary. It's hard to deal with. You get it gets access to Follow Me. We've talked about Follow Me before. And then, of course, with that Psychic Surge, you can't fake it out because there's no priority moves to the other team. So you can't use Fake Out on the Hatterene or the Indeedee. And but you can use like priority moves like Follow Me and stuff like that on your own. So a very, very good pick to go along with that Hatterene. And the Herkimer Dreadnoughts team looking kind of interesting.
My Dreadnoughts team looking kind of Monka TOS because they're gonna slap you up and down the street. They're gonna get rated R for blood and gore at this point in time. Just crazy. Hatterene Indeedee, I'm surprised that nobody snipe this pick because it's kind of plain as day. I mean, they're the mascots for the draft league for a reason because it's just a great combo. Yeah, Psychic Surge, as I mentioned with Expanding Force on both these Mon, just slaps and should be illegal. Honestly, it should be illegal in all 50 states plus the U.S. territories. Like, it's just that bad. I mean, British people have it, room service or whatnot, but it's not something to sleep on. This combo can do a lot, and we see that we're away from rain now, so it's not just a rain team. It is a rain team that has a mean, slower side that can kick your face in, and you know, Helping Hand's also fun. So Helping Hand Expanding Force just sounds like I want to vomit because that just sounds terrible. It also gets metronome, so it could blow up. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Moving on to the unknown.
I was waiting for that.
Moving on to the ultimate unknowns. We got Corviknight, which is a really good pick for doubles, specifically doubles with Dynamax and Gigantamax, because Mirror Armor is such a good ability to bounce back those drops that make Dynamax and Gigantamax so busted. Corviknight, I'm pretty sure it's tier 1 in this, gets access to Body Press as well. So it can be straight defensively built with Roost, Toxic, Iron Defense, and then just smack you with Body Press too. It's unfortunate it's not Stab because that would be absolutely terrifying. But some really good Pokemon types too are covered in this. I think it gets access to Dark type moves, some other utility as well. I believe it has access to Tailwind if it wants to be run that way. A nice answer in Trick Room, maybe pair with that Gengar and Hitmonchan. You know, that could be fun. I guess Grimstar's pretty slow too. Because remember that Grimstar too. So Trick Room could be fun with this team, honestly. And, you know, you see that Fairy Dragon Steel Core getting complete there with Grimstar, Dragofish, and Corviknight. All three work very nicely together. And just monstrous on this team.
Yep. And it's your son, right, Cass?
It is my son. My second favorite Pokemon, man.
Second favorite Pokemon ever. We talked about Mirror Armor. Another couple of things that this thing can do. Pressure, we talked about that with the Zapdos. Lowers the PP by 2 rather than 1. And then Unnerve, kind of keep those berries away. But more than likely, you're going to see a hidden ability Mirror Armor Corviknight. Again, as Chaos said, very, very bulky. I see the Corviknight use Iron Defense and Roost all the time to make sure that it is it's able to take the hits and then it just sets up in your face and goes ham. It's a very, very good Pokemon, very, very bulky, 105 base defense, but can also do some you know, just sleep on it. Don't sleep on it, otherwise it's gonna do a lot of damage to you. Moving on to the Sassy Squirtles, drafting the budget Togekiss, which is very cool. It gets the same abilities as Togekiss. Very, very basically, like I said, it's a budget Togekiss. The one thing that this thing is able to get is an Eviolite. Because of the fact that it can evolve, it can make it actually even bulkier, and that special defense is nothing to sleep at a base 105. I am on Togetic, right? Yeah, I am. So very, very good pickup for the Sassy Squirtles. So again, you can't sleep on this thing. It can do, you know, the Serene Grace, Super Luck, all of this with Togetic also gets access to Life Dew, Charm, Follow Me, all of that, like I said, good stuff, and a very versatile Pokemon, just like, you know, it's evolved form.
I want to put this in perspective for you that Togekiss's base special defense is 115. Togetic is 105. You're only dropping 10, and then you're getting access to throwing Eviolite on top of that, making you more defensive. Same thing in defense, 95, 90, 85, 10-point difference, but you can make it absolutely cracked with a 1.5 times boost on Eviolite. Same abilities, everything, can do everything the same as Togekiss, just more tanky. So if you're going to want to use knockoff on this thing, it's just going to sit there. It's going to be a nice cleric. The only thing that you don't see as much, you won't see as much offense out of this on Togekiss is going to be better at that than Togetic would be, but the defensive trades that it gets with the Eviolite honestly just does wonders. And, you know, even like Serene Grace and Super Luck can be very nice. You know, those crits can be a lot of fun. The other really fun thing is it has access to things like defog for terrain and hazards, heal ball again for support as much of a Togekiss, morning sun for recovery, as well as soft boil. Toxic can slow you down, whittle you down. And a very fun thing, it also has access to metronome, so it can blow up in your face. So that's a lot of fun. And even it can give you a present. It's fun. It's like Santa Claus, but the fairy flying type. That's an egg. It's great. Wisconsin Whooper's up next with Ninjask. So that's very cool. That's really all I want to say about it. Bug flying, budget scyther, just worse in my opinion. Probably gonna. It's got speed boost, which is a great ability. Can and will always use protect first turn to set that up. But Fury Cutter can also be annoying if you let it just sit there and hit you over and over with it. You got better moves like X Scissor if you want to be realistic and use bug type moves. Access to that dual wing beat, which is fun. So be wary, Focus Sash users and sturdy Pokemon that will die in one hit regularly. But Swords Dance, Protect, typical set. You're going to see that a lot. Life Orb, maybe. Call it a day.
Right. Yeah, it gets access to speed boost. It's very fast Pokemon, base 160 speed. It gets access to speed boost, so it goes much. It just goes burr. That's all it does. Can this thing blow up? That's all I want to know. It does get a chance to. I noticed it can set the sun with sunny day. I don't see like any rain dance or anything like that. So if you want to get rid of like say the rain from the Herkimer Dreadnought team and make their lives miserable, I mean they can do that.
Same as well.
Yeah, I don't see too much more of what you said. I don't think I have too much more to add with this. It'll be interesting. One of our favorite words now, to see how this thing is run this season. Moving on to the big blue dinosaur, at least when it's shiny. Tyranitar, very, very good pickup for the Vermont Vikavolt. Getting a very good rock dragon type Pokemon. With the abilities either Strong Jaw or Rockhead, very, very good, very good abilities there because it gives access to, Crunch and other biting moves to be able to increase the power of biting moves by 50%. But the big one is Rockhead. It does not receive recoil damage from recoil causing damage. So something like Head Smash, which is a very, very strong move, rock move. Usually you get a lot of damage done. No, Rockhead says no, not at all. So very, very good Mon. Also getting access to that sunny day I'm seeing on here. So with the Vermont Vicavolts, getting access to that sunny day to kind of pair with the Groudon potentially. I know it's not the fastest thing, but hey, like I said, you never know. You never know on this. And just looking at his move pool, gets a fair amount of versatility. I'm seeing normal moves, fire moves, dragon, of course, and I see a few psychic and fairy moves as well.
Yeah, Jimmy said it wasn't that fast, but it does have access to Scale Shot, which is the Isle of Armor tutor move, which can boost its speed set after every turn that it's used. So that's a way for it to get a little bit faster and do some more work. Access to Break and Swipe as well to lower attack stats of opponents. Can be very fun. Attract, even if you want to, get a little spicy.
Hey.
Have fun with that. But you're primarily going to see this thing just wreck shop with Ironhead. Yeah, I mean, it does have access to that. But I was more looking at Reckless, Rockhead, and Head Smash. Because if you slap a Choice Scarf on it, Rockhead, Head Smash, a lot of things are going to be dead. So,
yeah.
Very good Pokemon to grab. Nice addition to the team. Unfortunately, it didn't go to the next trainer because that's what it was named after in a certain playthrough. But we got the Orange County Mega Sceptiles grabbing Aegislash. I know that's not how you say it, but I like Aegislash. It sounds fun.
Aegislash.
It has an awesome shiny, the Demon Sword, aka. But you know, you see those stats depending on what form it's in. Aegislash can be uber defensive, but also be super offensive as well. So that's fun. I've never seen a special attacking one until Leon's in Sword and Shield, to be fair. So, you know, he has access to those abilities as well. Can run things like Air Slash, Flash Cannon. Got Destiny Bond if it wants to be cheeky. King Shield, obviously, kind of a required move that lowers attack one stage if you get hit by it. But also physical side, you know, you have things like Sacred Sword, Shadow Sneak, Shadow Claw, those kind of things popping in and out. So a Pokemon that requires a lot of awareness and tact from your opponent, because the mental game is always going to be there. Is this the turn that King Shield comes out? Is this the turn he's attacking double? I mean, when he's in defensive form, you kind of know what's going to happen. But I mean, he does have access to Wide Guard, so maybe he wants to do that and stop spread moves. Who knows? Good Fairy Dragon Steel course.
It is. It's very good. I don't know if I have too much to add. Again, depending on the stance that it's in, or the form that it's in, it has either really good defenses or really good attacking. So again, it depends on what it is. So really, the idea for your opponent is that you want to attack it, obviously, when it's in its attack form, or blade form, I believe is what it's called. And yep. Like I said, I don't think there's too much more I can add to what Chaos said. Pretty much covers it there. The one ability, obviously, is stance change. It does get access to Sword Dance to raise that attack if it so desires, and just a very good Pokemon to add and bring to the team. Switching rounds, moving into the next round, OC Mega Sceptiles getting that Sceptile, getting their mascot, which is very, very cool. This is the Gen 3 Grass Starter, fully evolved, which is very, very cool. Just looking at the stats, give me one moment. Pretty decent special attack. It's pretty fast, 120 base speed. So it's gonna a good chance that it's gonna be one of the first things to move on the field. Of course, the Overgrow ability, which powers up grass moves if its HP is low, or on burden. Once the item is held, is consumed, it gets that much faster. Also getting access to a Leaf Blade, Giga Drain. Again, depending on if you use it either physically or specially. More than likely, you're probably going to run a special, but again, never sleep on the physical moves. Also getting access to that Grassy Glide in the Isle of Armor with the move tutor, and just a very nice pickup for the Mega Sceptiles.
Style was a nice ability with that. Or you typically see it with those gems boosting attack stat or something. But you know, something such as a throat spray or other things like of that nature that are items that go away after a turn could be used to make this thing just start popping off. Sceptile, it's kind of okay. Stat-wise, really good speed, obviously. Special attack's not anything to be stopping at, which is kind of ironic because you think more physical. But does have access to, healing, recovery, access to Throat Chop, Thunder Punch for a little bit of utility there, Breaking Swipe if you want to, get rid of that attacks out on the opposing side, Grassy Terrain and Grassy Glide, even if it wants to do that, access to Frenzy Plant. If you want to see, a Swampland or something like that, that's Grass Pledge. You can use that with Water or Fire Pledge for some other things. That's what I was trying to go for. I knew what I was talking about, just got the wrong move with that. So, can be run a lot of different ways with that. Access, again, the Scale Shot, as we mentioned, on Tyrantrum, where it can boost its speed stat. Worry Seed, even to change abilities if it wants to be annoying and cheeky. So, a lot of fun can be had with Sceptile. Is it going to be brought a lot? Who knows? It's a favorite Pokemon of this team, so we'll have a good time seeing it, and hopefully it goes well this season. The Vermont Vigabolts are up next with a Gmax Venusaur, which is not a lot of fun when you look at what's right above it. being Groudon, because Venusaur in the sun is never a good idea unless you're the one using it, because then you're going to whop things in the face. Access to the growth to set up +2 in the sun. Access to Chlorophyll, which boosts its speed in the sun. Access to Weather Ball, which makes it have a fire type move in the sun, as well as water type move and rain, ice type move and hail, and a ground type move and I think it's ground type move. It might be rock type move and sand. So Venusaur can be a lot of fun in those regards. Great special attack stat. Honestly, a pretty good typing around the board. Not a lot of ways to kill it, and you're probably going to have to take some investment to try to deal with Venusaur. So good luck beating it, friends.
Yeah, really good luck beating it. And the fact that it's paired with Groudon, which is, setting up the sun. It's going to go fast. You also always have to worry about sleep powder with Venusaur. I see that used a lot. So depending on what item you get, it could boost the accuracy of the sleep powder. And now your Pokemon are asleep. And again, it's VGC. You can put all the Pokemon to sleep if you want. If your opponent's not ready for it, then that's your opponent's. That's the opponent's issue. So you have to be very wary of this Venusaur. Very, very annoying and a very, very great pickup for the Vermont Vicavolts. You mentioned with the Herkimer Dreadnoughts team drafting Hatterene and Didi. It's like the fact that we allowed a Groudon Venusaur as well. That just doesn't sound fun to deal with, like, at all. So yeah, I don't have much more to add. Chaos mentioned the amazing special attack with Venusaur. It hits like a truck. It's just, and is bulky, and in the sun is fast. So that's going to be fun to deal with. Yay. Moving on to the Wisconsin Whoopers. Drafting Sylveon. Sylveon, obviously the fairy type evolution, getting access to Q-Charm or the hidden ability Pixelate, which you see more or less of. It increases the power of normal type moves by 20%. It then changes it to fairy type, which, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't that make it stab?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
It pretty much makes normal type moves stab, which is good. We mentioned throat spray in the past, not too long ago. It gets access to, I'm trying to find it. What's it called? Hyper Voice. That's what I'm looking for. So Hyper Voice is a normal type move, becomes a fairy type move with Pixelate, and then you get that throw spray, which then increases its special attack. Sylveon is a powerhouse, and the special attack is already up there with the 110 base power. So Sylveon, a very, very good pickup for the Whoopers. Also getting access to a couple other different moves, but very, very good pickup. I can't complain about it.
Yeah, definitely another option for that fairy type stab, especially to hit multiple targets. I mean, you have Hyper Voice, so why are we going to use Dazzling Gleam? Curse, Calm Mind, and Curse, 2 ways to set up. Sylveon's already kind of slow, so setting up that defensive side, I know it's not going to really be used. Curse is not going to be used to boost that attack stat primarily, but that defense boost would be nice. Calm Mind to set up that special, already amazing special attack and special defense could be useful too. Gets access to screens, has the broken mystical fire that fairy types need to not have because it's stupid, which lowers special attack of your opponents. Psyshock even as a way to deal with some things. Shadow Ball for coverage as well. I mean, you can even run down all the way down to Magical Leap if you want to have grass coverage. Weather Ball too, so can be run alongside some weathers that you might see on opposing teams or even on this team because it can set up some weathers as well. It has access to a very fun move, which might be very nice against Herkimer Dreadnoughts, called Misty Explosion, where it blows up when Misty Terrain, so that'll be a lot of fun, and I'd love to see it. Up next is the Sassy Squirrels, as you saw, grabbing Steelix. This is a repeat from last season. Steelix, whopping base defense stat 200, and that's not even a legendary, pseudo-legendary, mythical Pokemon or anything. It just has 200 defense stat for some reason because somebody thought that was a good idea. 75 HP, but unfortunately, the 200 base defense stat is basically all it's there for. Just can sit there and just wreck shop. Got access to Rock Head, Sturdy, Sheer Force, so get rid of secondary effects and make it much more useful. But the big thing to deal with that defense stat is you have Body Press, which Unfortunately, again, not getting stabbed here would be really great for Steelix. Can set up Dragon Dance if you want to be cheeky like that. Gets access to some flinches if you want to try to autotomize and go fast. Or, I mean, would, but has access to it. Got some coverage moves pretty much in every type for some reason, because I guess the devs like Onyx Breaking Swipe, a nice utility move there to have Magnet Rise to deal with the weakness to ground. Payback to deal more damage to your opponents, because it's going to be double because you're going to lose after them. But the big thing to notice is have access to self-destruct, and that'll be a lot of fun. Wide Guard 2, but self-destruct is there.
Self-destruct.
More important. More important.
I knew you were going to say that. One of the other things that I noticed that Steelix has is Gyro Ball. We mentioned something that didn't get stabbed. This is stab. The slower the target, the higher the mover power. So you get that base 30 speed facing a very fast mon. It's gonna do a lot of damage. But I think Chaos pretty much covered everything with Steelix. I don't think I have too much to add. Obviously the abilities were covered, and then the self-destructing, so that's always fun. So we're just going to move on to the next pick for the Ultimate Unknown, drafting Roselia, which is a grass poison Pokemon, getting access to the abilities like Natural Cure, curing any status conditions when it's healed, is healed when it's withdrawn from battle. You can also have a Poison Point, 30% chance of doing a poison if you physically touch it, and then a Leaf Guard. Prevents Pokemon from being affected during status conditions in the sun. So maybe a way to help deal with any status conditions. You're not gonna. I mean, you can't put the Roselia to sleep anyway with Sleep Powder because it's a grass type. But you know, you never know. Getting access to a couple of move. Worry Seed is really cool. It prevents sleep by making the target's ability Insomnia, which gets rid of its other abilities. So something to be there. But the fact that this is not a fully evolved Pokemon still has that space special attack of 100. So don't sleep on it, but it is not fully evolved, which also means it can get that Eviolite. So a nice pickup for the Ultimate Unknowns.
Because it was fully evolved at one point, that special attack's nice. And you think about like Roserade, you're only getting 100, you're only getting a 25 more at special attack, but you could also just slap an Eviolite on this thing, let it be more defensive. I mean, Roselia would have more defense at that point in time, so it'd be more useful in that sense. Something else if you can run it is Leech Seed. I know it's kind of not something that you think about too much, but Leech Seed can be a way to mitigate this defensive walls on opposing team. Also with access to Toxic Spikes, so it can set up that way, as well as regular spikes, so whatever it wants to do. Weather Ball, again, as I mentioned, as I like to mention, any weather it can be helpful in Life Dew as a cleric. Mimic if it wants to mimic your own teammate's move or an opponent's move. Venoshock, if you get poisoned, it can do more damage that way. Maybe it's a way to set this thing off and let it go ham. Protect, obviously, is nice to have. Everything gets that, basically, though. And can even be a cleric with aromatherapy. Body Slam for paralysis, too. Got spread moves, got recovery. Honestly, got a great aspect of being a nice defensive Pokemon. And, it even has Cotton Spore, so if it wants to try to go off, it has the ability to go fast and destroy you as well. Up next with the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, we're getting Araquanid, which I honestly forgot you grabbed because I've been too busy looking at my own draft team and not realizing what other people have. But Araquanid has a lot of fun and utility. Sticky Webs is something I recall with this thing being a usable strategy as a way to slow down your opponents. I mean, if you want to, you get that Trick Room Core in the back, so maybe not the most usable thing. Great attack stat, but honestly, the fun part about this is the ability Water Bubble. But boosting those water moves by 2 times, and it does not allow it to be burned, so you can't use Will-O-Wisp on it to burn it, and you have to damage a fire type attacks. I mean, it's already neutral, so making it resisted, which is on a bug type, which is kind of fun. Access to Infestation for utility there, Bug Buzz, if you want to run it specially for some random reason, but you're probably going to see Leech Life Liquidation, Lunge, some aspect of X-Scissor maybe thrown in there too. a Bug Bite if you want to get cheeky, get rid of, like Snorlax's Berry or something like that. Rain Dance for another way to set up Rain. Soak, change types to Water. Mirror Coat if you want to have defensive capabilities. You want to have a mini Wobbuffet here. Entrainment to change abilities. So if you want to do that. Confide, lowering special attacks. Got a lot of things it could do, and it's a lot of fun. So very, very threatening Pokemon sitting there, and could be a lot of problems. The only thing I regret to say is not having any way to explode. So
that's the only thing that I can't do, unfortunately. But yeah, Chaos mentioned is the fact that this is another Mon, excuse me, another Water type. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know what that was. But this is another Mon that can get access. It's another Water type Pokemon on this Rain team, but it's also very slow, so it also works with the Trick Room. So you never know how it's going to be choosing both. Maybe it's not. Who knows? Base speed of 32. It is very specially defensive at 132. So as well as 92 defense. So very defensive Mon. But can also hit hard as if once again if you left unchecked. That liquidation with the water bubble, as Chaos mentioned, very, very good. And then add the Rain in with Kyogre or Polytode. It's gonna hit a lot harder than what you think. That's all I gotta say. Moving on to the last pick of this round for the Hawaii Hunters, Gmax Colossal, a very good pick for them. We're talking about slow mons and whatnot. Colossal only at base 30, but does have access to that steam engine if it gets hit by fire or water moves. It does get access and basically maxes out its speed, and then it just goes burr. Also has the ability of Flame Body, which has a chance to burn your opponent if physically touched, and then Flash Fire as well. Colossal being a rock fire type. Gets Heat Crash, Rock Blast, Burn Up, which Burn Up if you want to get rid of the fire typing, that could be the strat to kind of get rid of its massive weakness to water. Doesn't it have another weakness 4 times? No, it's just water, right? Ground. That's what I'm looking. That's what I'm looking at. So, but still a very, very good Pokemon. And then, of course, this is the Gmax version of it. So Gmax Vocalith coming in. It's a Rock type move. This move basically is very similar to Gmax Wildfire, where it gets stuck this time in stones and deals damage to opponents for 4 turns.
Yeah, Colossal it's a lot of fun. I used this last season, and I was kind of joking about the flip turn with Gmax Colossal when I was talking about Dracology a few rounds ago. I didn't even know it was on this team, and apparently I subconsciously knew it. But the one thing Jimmy failed to mention that is a lot of fun with Colossal is it does have some versatility. That defense and HP stat, yes, they're very high and staggering, but you notice attack and special attack are both 80, so it can be run physically and or specially. Jimmy beat me to the boom set. I don't want to go on. I didn't even get that chat. This is not fair. But it can be run physically, especially typically weakness policy. You're going to see this thing flip turn, something like that, to set off Steam Engine to make it +6, and then +6 in speed, and then +2 in attack and special attack, which again doesn't give anything to your opponent until you click a move, and especially if you just Gmax right off the bat. Something that's not invested in attack or not invested in special attack that hits it with a water type move. Aqua Jet's a really good way to set this thing up. It just makes it go ham, and it's very, very annoying. And then that Vocalith, very, very powerful coverage, moves with Ground Steel, water even, because it gets scalded for some reason. Who would have thought about that? And then, of course, that's the way. Solar Beam in the Sun also could be fun after you set up a fire type move. So it can be fun. One of the fun things I like about Colossal that never gets to be used, and I'm upset because Colossal is just so slow it can't be used this way. It does have access to Tar Shot, which gives a Pokemon a greater weakness to fire and lowers its speed stat, which can be a lot of fun for maybe some of its opponents if you can keep Colossal around a bit. I don't know. It'd be fun. Colossal's a great mon, but it requires a little bit of setup to use very effectively. Hawaii Hunter's going next, and you see something else that just works here. Clawitzer, maybe another option to set this Colossal up a little bit better. Obviously, more of a special attacker, so something like Aqua Jet that it gets would be more effective for it, because 75 attack is not that high, and you can honestly take it. It'd probably do about, 12% to a Gmax Colossal that's invested in HP, just because I've calced it before. Does have access to Mega Launcher as its only ability, so Pulse moves are going to do a lot. Things like Dark Pulse, Dragon Pulse, Aura Sphere even gets affected by it. Focus Blast, I don't think it does, but it could be fun. And then it has coverage in Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, Sludge Wave or Sludge Bomb, depending. Terrain Pulse if there's a terrain on the field. Water Pulse even gets boosted, if you want to go that far down. Access to Icy Wind for a little bit of slowing down your opponents, might be helpful for that Colossal. Gets access to the Rain if you want to do that. Smackdown, as we talked about with Zapdos, maybe you give Zapdos a weakness policy, hit it with a Smackdown, it's on the ground, put it in electric terrain, and Zapdos pops up. I don't know, it could be a very cool Pokemon to mix around with this team and just work. So I'm excited to see Clawitzer used. I have seen one used, so it would be fun.
Yeah, I've never actually seen this thing used. I know it's actually a little fast for Trick Room too. Base speed of 59. I mean, it's still slow, but
right.
For Trick Room, it's still pretty fast. It's still pretty fast. So, it's gonna. I'm very curious to see as well how this is gonna be used. Clawitzer also could be run on the offensive side with that 120 special attack. So if you can get it set up properly, it can do a lot of major damage, and as Chaos mentioned, with that Mega Launcher, getting those Pulse and Aura moves, moving by fast team and slow you. It just does, that much more damage. You get rain with that Water Pulse. Mega Launcher does a lot of damage. So I'm very curious to see how, very, very curious to see how this mon plays out. Moving on to the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, drafting Vikavolt, kind of getting a little bit more coverage on the team as the draft starts to slowly wind down here. Vikavolt, very, very powerful, but slow mon. Base speed of 43, best used in Trick Room, but that massive 145 special attack. This thing does massive, like I said, just again, massive damage on the special attacks side. You can't hit it with ground moves. It has the ability to levitate, so you'll either have to smack it down or the mold breaker, gravity, stuff like that. Big move is going to be its Bug Buzz, 90 base attack, lowering the special defense as well. Getting access to electric, bug. I see. It actually, funny enough, this thing gets Rain Dance. I didn't know that until doing this right now, so that's really fun. It gets access to Thunder. You can bring it out in the rain. It has 100% accurate Thunder with that massive special attack. It's gonna do a lot of damage. So I'm super excited to use this Pokemon. And we'll have to, like I said, we'll have to see 100% what it does. And I'm excited that I managed to get it.
Talk about the only thing I would add, a couple things I would add. You have String Shot for lowering speed of your opponents by 2 stages, which could be helpful, although it's probably going to be used in Trick Room with that low speed stat, so maybe that's not what you want. Access to Electro Web, which does the same thing except -1 speed stat, and it actually does damage, which could be a little bit better. Sticky Web is another way, but again, if you're going to run again on a slow team, maybe not something you want to use against. Coverage with Flash Cannon's fun. And unfortunately, the only way to make this thing better is to give it an Explode. I don't control the movesets. Up next is the Ultimate Unknowns, and they're drafting Galarian, not Slowbro, because that's a bad choice. Slowbro is way better. Always. Don't at me. Slowking gets access to Curious Medicine, which switches stats to 0, which can be very fun for people trying to set up. So that's gonna be something fun for your opponents. Own Tempo gets rid of Confusion, no Intimidate, although I don't think you'd run it specially. And then obviously Regenerator is one of the best things that the Slow Twins get, because you can just switch out and then come back in and act like you didn't take any damage at all. Gets access to Eerie Spell if you want to do some of that PP stalling. Expanding Force if it wants to be in terrain and have a fun time. Coverage and Flamethrower, grass coverage, ice coverage, ghost coverage, water coverage because it was a water type at one point. Yeah, back in the Kanto days when.
Back in the Kanto days, actually Johto days.
Yeah, same. They're the same region. They're attached to each other. Got a lot of fun.
Same region.
Got a lot of fun to do, and Icy Wind is always fun on these kind of mons because you gain lower speed.
Yeah. What Chaos said. I haven't used this thing. I've actually heard bad things about this thing. I know it's super slow, so it can be used in Trick Room, but in all honesty, I don't really have much to add from what Chaos said. I'm kind of looking at its moves, making sure I'm looking at the Galarian form. I don't see anything else really to add on that. It gets access to Belly Drum, so that's cool. Go ham randomly with a physical Notbra, Galarian Notbra. Moving on to the Sassy Squirtles, their next pick is a Lipard. Lipard being the basically more or less dark, like leopard Pokemon. Almost said panther for some reason. I'm tired. Leave me alone. But the dark leopard Pokemon. Hidden ability is Prankster, which makes this a very, very nice Pokemon. It gets access to the ability, the move Fake Out. Gets Sucker Punch, Nasty Plot, Nice Slash. The Lipard is very, very fast with 106 base speed, Taunt, Trick, and a lot of the same moves that we've talked about with previous Pokemon there. You can also get some egg moves on it, a Yawn, a Copycat, and make it even go faster with Quick Attack. So a very good Pokemon. Again, the biggest one with that Prankster ability. So it can use some of the status changing moves, Thunder Wave being one of them first, as long as it's not going into a dark type Pokemon.
Prankster's fun, but Prankster has its limits too. And that's pretty much dark types, and that's about it. I looked up Prankster instead of looking up Livewire. That's a good idea. Good job. As Jimmy wants to say, the Black Panther Pokemon. Gonna do some work here today. Got equal special attack and physical attack, so it could run both ways. Although it probably has a better special move pool, in my opinion. Never mind, it has knockoff, so nope, use it physically every time. Because that's too good to pass up. But can't set up with Nasty Plot too. Got quick attack for priority if you want. Obviously, Taunt, Toxic, Trick, Yawn, those kind of things are going to be great with Prankster. So if you want to be annoying, that is a fun thing that you can do. I mean, heck, you can even use Torment. Why not? Why not make your opponent choose different moves? Like, they totally weren't going to do that anyway. Unless they're Choice Banded, which, or Choice Scarf or Choice Specs, and that can cause problems because they have to use Struggle. I don't know. Maybe you need to think about that. Fake Tears is nice. Screech is nice. I think it's nice. Both low rating defensive stats, so it can obviously help out your teammate nicely in doubles. So a nice add to the team, and we saw this used last season, so we're excited to see it used again. Wisconsin Wooper's going to take the Lose Wool, as I like to call it, because I've never called this its correct name, because I do not like it. But Double can do fun stuff, and by fun stuff I mean Cotton Guard to +3 and then use Body Press. That is about all I can do. Otherwise, I mean, it has Fluffy, which makes it a little bit more defensive, but weaker to fire type moves. Got steadfast, so it can boost in speed if it flinches. Can deal with ballistic moves with bulletproof. So got 3 good abilities that can be used interchangeably. But as I said, Gun Guard, Body Press, probably what you're gonna see. And does have access to some fun tech though, like Grassy Glide, so that could be.
I was just gonna say that.
No. Yeah, well you can talk about how it doesn't explode then. Oh wait, I just covered that. Like use Copycat and copy Explosion and do it itself. There you go.
Hey, there we go.
Loophole.
Yeah, woohoo! Fantastic. It gets Body Press. Wait, Chaos already said that. Retaliate. Thunder Wave. Again, just don't sleep on the Pokemon. You never know what moveset it's gonna have. But it'll be really cool. Fluffy is probably, I think, one of its best abilities. Just be careful of those fire types. So yeah. Moving on to the Vermite Vigavolts. Drafting a Serena. Serena actually a really nice Pokemon. The Vigavolts putting together a very, very, very scary team. Serena, I learned a lot with that using the Queen Majesty ability. Prevents the opponent Pokemon from using basically priority moves. So no Fake Out, no Thunder Wave, Prankster stuff. It's just a very, very good ability in that regard. And that's not all it does. Its attack is 120 as well. So a physical Serena does a lot of damage. Gets high jump kick for fighting, a little bit of coverage there. Trying to see what grass move. It gets Razor Leaf. Any other grass moves physically? Solar Blade, which is very, very very, very scary. And then you put that in the sun, if I'm not mistaken, you put Solar Blade in the sun, it just goes in 1 turn. So, very, very scary Pokemon for the Vermont Vigavolts to have. Also getting access to Sunny Day, Helping Hand. I see a U-turn. I am not looking forward to facing this Pokemon or this team.
Drop Kick. That's what Jimmy didn't say. I want to say Drop Kick. Probably not going to be used, but it's there. It can lower an attack of physical attackers by 1 stage if it gets used, so that's fun. Knockoff, a lot of fun, because you can get rid of items, which we've already talked about how that's very useful in this. And even could be a little bit of a defensive cleric. It got aromatherapy, can heal. Rapid Spin to get rid of items on the field. Sort of entry hazards. That's what I was trying to find. Triple Axle, nice coverage. Just honestly a solid Pokemon overall. And Jimmy talked about shut down Prankster with Queen Majesty, but you also can shut down other things with Taunt. So that's fun if you wanna get rid of other non-attacking damage moves. We got Orange County Sceptiles, Mega Sceptiles up next with Sandy Scorch. I honestly have never used this thing, but I've seen Coil used quite a bit on it as a way to set it up. White Smoke is a fun ability because it prevents stat loss, and everybody loves it. The other two, not as much. But you're kind of see this thing more as a physical attacker. Access to Knockoff, as I like to mention. Leech Life for recovery and stab. But it does get some nice tech if you want to run it, especially in like Scald Scorching Sands. So that could be a lot of fun. Burn Up, another fun move for fire types that you don't see that often. Just fire too as an option on the side there, and honestly just going to be a nice offensive Pokemon. I don't really expect to see much defense from this, but it could be something that may keep rocks heavy duty boots.
Just looking at some more of the moves. Again, Chaos mentioned that this is going to be more of a physical attacker, and of course, initially being a fire type, this thing can't get burned, so that's fun. With its attacking power of 110 base stats, but again, you can't. What was I going to say? You can't sleep on it being maybe even a special attack at 90. It's still pretty high up there. Chaos, I don't see anything where it can blow up either, so I'm sorry to hear that. Coil is always, fun. It curls up, it increases its attack and defense, as well as its accuracy. So if it wants to hit those not so accurate moves, that's what Coil does. So yeah, very, very nice pickup for the Orange County Mega Sceptiles. Snaking around to the next round. Back to the Orange County Mega Sceptiles is going to be a Lycanroc. This is the midday form. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Yeah, midday form of the Lycanroc. So Lycanroc, obviously rock type, gets the ability Keen Eye, Sand Rush, or Steadfast. Sand Rush would be really good against the Sand team of the Vikavolt or the Sun, depending on what they decide to do. But Keen Eye prevents the accuracy, which is really good. And then, of course, Steadfast, raising that speed if it gets flinches. And flinches happen a lot with all the fake out users throughout the entire league. Gets access to Sucker Punch. I'm seeing Howl raising that attack stats. Rock Slide, Crunch, Stone Edge, very good attacking a Pokemon overall. Looking at that base attack stat of and 15, and it's the midday form, very, very fast at 112 speed. So very speedy Pokemon, hits very hard. You just got to worry about its defenses, and once you do that, you'll be good.
I'm required by outside sources to say this Pokemon sucks. And I can move on. But Jimmy covered a lot of other things I wanted to say. The only other thing I want to mention, you talked about priority moves. Cellrock is absolutely cracked. It's one of the, I think actually the only Pokemon that gets a Cellrock. Can't make very good use of that, and I've seen this thing banded and just uses a Cellrock to great avail. A Stealth Rock user, if you want to run it that way, coverage with Legs and Headbutt, Play Rough, Iron Head. If you want some different kinds of moves, not really usable too much though. I mean, you're pretty much gonna hit Stone Edge with Life Orb, aren't you? I feel like that's what it's gonna do, right?
Pretty much.
I don't see it blowing up either, and I'm upset about that, which means it really sucks. So we'll move on. The Vermont Vigavolts choosing a Frostmoth, so hopefully they build it better than they do in Dynamax Adventures and actually give it a nice type move. Because Frostmoth can be very annoying. Shield Dust and Ice Scale is great abilities. Half damage from special attacks when a lot of fire types are special and quad weak to them. Nice. Too bad it's not half damage. Too bad it's like Filter, where you have damage from super effective moves. Shield Dust is also really cool because it gets rid of secondary effects, so no flinches from Togekiss. So stop it. It's really annoying. Good coverage here with those flying type moves as you would expect from a flying moth Pokemon. Giga Drain for recovery, which could be nice. Quiver Dance, yeah, you saw that coming. Tailwind, nice speed control mon. Weather Ball, because it's fun. Why not? Sure, give it to it. Wide Guard is a nice utility move for the spread moves that come out, and of course, you can set up the Hail and just let it go. Ham with Blizzards, so let it go off and have fun.
Looking at some other moves that that Frostmoth gets, I'm seeing Helping Hand. You can be cheeky with Attract, I'm noticing. Bug Buzz, I'm noticing a lot more special than physical moves with that 125 special attack base stat. Get some coverage moves with, I see some fairy moves, flying, ice moves, and a little bit of grass. So a very interesting pick compared to the rest of the team, but getting some coverage for the team for the Vermont Vikavolt. And again, it's like you can't sleep on these mons. Very, very good pickup for the Vikavolt. Moving on to the Whoopers, drafting Toxapex. Poison water type, gets ability Merciless or Limber. Merciless attacks become critical hit if the target is poisoned, which is very, very good. This is one of Toxapex's specialty. And when Limber, Pokemon cannot be paralyzed. And then, of course, its hidden ability, Regenerator, but Merciless, definitely being one of the best abilities that Toxapex can have, at least in my opinion, because of its move is Baneful Bunker. If you physically touch it using Baneful Bunker, it is a protect, but then you get poisoned. And again, if your opponent is poisoned, you get automatically crit, which does a lot of damage. So that's always fun. Defense is very high. This is a very defensive mon. Defense 152, special defense 142. Not very fast. Doesn't hit very hard. So it's just one of those. I don't want to necessarily say stall mons, but it's basically a stall mon. It's there to take damage, let the other partner set up and become the sweeper, and just be literally a thorn in your side.
He doesn't want to call it a Stallmon. I'll call it like it is. It's a Stallmon. It's just going to sit there and toxic you and just use Baneful Bunker and make your day not fun. Because also it can switch out with Regenerator, which makes life a lot of fun too, because it doesn't have to have the other ability. Toxapex is very annoying. It doesn't want to die ever. I mean, 200. It feels like 200. But 152 and 142 defense stats respectfully. Access to haste, so even if you try to set up in space, you're not going to get anywhere. Magic Coat for damage if you want to throw it back. Access to knockoff for dealing with items that could cause it problems. Even substitute if you want to try to like paralyze it or something and get cheeky. I mean, it could just sit there. I mean, it doesn't have the best HP to set up subs, but I mean, it could just do it. After you just set up its teammate. Just kidding, because it's slow. Maybe a Trick Room, I guess. That would be fun. After you Trick Room, kind of kill. But really, you're gonna just see it sit there and not die. So yeah, that's fun. Hopefully, the turn limit does not come into effect with this mon. That's all I can say. Because I've seen it happen too many times. Sassy Squirtles are up next, and they got a Druddigon. The very weird looking dragon Pokemon. Sorry, Druddigon, but it's kind of weird. But
it's green.
It is green right now because he's shiny. I can't spell Druddigon because that's helpful. But it has access to Rough Skin, so Rough Skin with something like Sticky Barb or Rocky Helmet to cause a little bit of chip or residual damage is fun. Sheer Force, getting rid of secondary effects, making things more powerful. Never a bad idea. And then Mold Breaker, as we've talked, there's a lot of abilities out there that cause problems. You get rid of that. Levitate Pokemon, here's an Earthquake. Get screwed, because it does actually have access to Earthquake, which I got lucky. So it did. And so I just looked at it. Can be a phaser with Roar. We haven't talked about phasing, but it can be a phaser with Roar. That's fun. Honestly, what you would expect from your Dragon Pokemon, a lot of damage output. Can be a little bit difficult to kill, but with fairy types around there now, it's not too bad. Honestly, that's the only thing really notable I've got to point out for it. So that's it for me.
Yeah, you covered a good majority of it. The Rough Skin, the abilities definitely make this, a much more of a threat with this Pokemon. I'm kind of looking at some of the other moves. It's what, Pure Dragon? Yeah, it's Pure Dragon. So it's nice typing. It's got to worry about those fairies all around there. Getting access to Night Slash, and I see Glare. I don't see that coming in, but again, you never know. It gets access to Dual Wing Bake. I guess it does have wings, so that's really cool. Base attack 120. So that is pretty cool. It'll be cool to see what this thing does throughout the season. I don't really have much to add either. Moving on to the Ultimate Unknowns pick for this round, we have a Gallade. Gallade also getting that justified ability. So we talked about we've talked about this before, getting access to beat up, and getting Dynamaxed, raising that attack stat for each and every one of those, and the attack stat already all the way up at 125. Getting access to moves like where is it? Psycho Cut is on there. That's not what I wanted to see. Does it get Zen Headbutt? I have no idea.
Yes, it does.
It does. So Zen Headbutt. Yeah, there it is. Also Ally Switch. I see a bulk up on that. I don't think you'll use that. Swords Dance is very scary with Gallade. So a nice, very physical mon. Look at its defenses. I don't know if this thing is defensive. Especially defensive. So it'll come in and be able to take those special hits, but for the most part, I can just see this thing going ham. Not exactly the slowest thing, not the fastest thing. So it's definitely going to be that mid-tier speed.
But it also has access to Trick Room, which can make it a lot of fun too for people wanting to set up Trick Room. I mean, you see things like, I talked about Gengar setting up Trick Room on this team. Gallade, honestly, another candidate that just makes the team work. Access to Solar Blade, so if you want to run Sun, there you go. Have fun. Very, very destructive force. Access to the thing I noted about Gallade is I'm looking here on Showdown, and it's like recommended moves or moves that typically get used, and the list just, I could scroll for a couple pages before I get out of that. It has so many utilities that it can do, including a lot of statuses with Will-O-Wisp or Thunder Wave, tricking items, which is a lot of fun, especially with Choice Scarf into something more defensive. Shadow Sneak and Vacuum Wave priority moves, Psycho Cut for and Slash, and I think it actually gets access to Night Slash too for high crits. If you want to run more crit, I mean, you got Air Slash for flinch hacks too. If you want to be that guy, Destiny Bond. If you want to be, hey, I'm gonna die, you're gonna die with me. You know? One for all, one and all for one. You know? There you go. Memento. Right. If you want to lower stats, like you get in a 1v4 situation, you want to lower stats. Say, I don't need my Gallade. Here you go. Pain Split recovery. There you go. Drain Punch recovery as well. Poison Jab coverage. So this fairy type's gonna cause problems for it. It's got so many things it can do. Shadow Sneak, another private move. There you go. I was looking for that. Teleport for switching out and keeping momentum. Like, it's got so much it can do. Wish support. I mean, hey, triple axle. There you go. Like, the list goes on and on about Gallade. And it's kind of a mid-tier Pokemon because it can do so many things, but really it's not excel in any format. It's got a nice attack stat. Doesn't live a hit. It's not fast enough to be a glass cannon. It's not weak enough to be it's not tanky enough to be a tank. It's just kind of middle of the ground, and you know, it can be run a lot of different ways. Hopefully it goes well, but I've seen Gallade kind of fail in the past, so best of luck to you this season. Talking about Dreadnought's grabbing a Turtonator. I don't know why there's a fascination with Turtonator and Rain teams, but I've seen so many Turtonators as the fire type Pokemon on Rain teams. Dragon, I guess, is good for that. Gives a little bit of utility there. Shell Armor, nice ability, protects that crit. So crit kiss, get out of my face. I don't want to see you no more. Cause yeah, stuck. Access to Draco Meteor, which is a lot of fun. Curse, bulk up for setup, body press if you want to run defensively off that 135 if that stat, which can be a lot of good at times. A lot of really cool coverage moves across the board. Steel, Rock, Dark, Ground, even access to Taunt and Will-O-Wisp for statuses. He wants to block to stop switches, Fire Spin for more trapping, Rock Tomb for slowing things down, Solar Beam in the Sun as a way to counter that Sun setup, Wide Guard even for the spread moves, Scale Shot to boost its speed stat. Got a lot of utility, and it's really good Pokemon because it can blow up.
Oh, sweet. I didn't even see that one. That's really cool. Where does it learn that?
I don't know.
Explosion. There it is. Level 52. Yeah, I see this Pokemon in this team just more or less for coverage purposes. Get that fire typing out there. But it does get access, as Chaos mentioned, to a wide variety of moves, and again, yet another Trick Room Pokemon that can really do a lot of damage if Trick Room is set properly. So I look forward to seeing this thing in use. I look forward to using it as the coach of the Herkimer Dreadnought. So I don't have too much more to add on that one. Chaos covered a good majority of that. Again, the shell armor being unable to crit it, and more special attacky than attacky, if that makes sense, but therefore defense in it. It'll be able to take hits, tanks, and hopefully do some damage. Moving on to the last pick of the round for the Hawaii Haunters is a Pile of Sand. Ghost Ground type, getting 2 different abilities. Water Compaction increases defense by 2 stage every time it's hit by a water type move, or Sand Veil, which raises its evasionness in Sandstorm. I see both abilities working very well within this league. I see Water Compaction more used on Pile of Sand than Sand Veil, but not saying that the other can't use on the other as well. Take a quick peek at its stats. Defensively, it's all right. Little on the slow side, so very good. Also for that Trick Room shenanigans there as well. Very good special attack at base 100. Getting access to moves. I saw Earth Power on there is a big one. Giga Drain for a little bit of coverage there. You can be cheeky with it with Hypnosis. Set up your own Sandstorm if you want. Giga Drain as well. Again, so some nice coverage, and a very good pick overall, I think.
It also has access to Shore Up, which can go really nicely against those sand teams, so getting 2/3 HP back as a recovery move. We did mention Giga Drain as another option. Access to Brine to do more damage. It's not that offensive. 100 special attack's really good, actually. But Brine, doubling the damage there. Destiny Bond, if you're going to try to take it out. Curse wants to set up its defenses and lower its speed even more. Pain Split as another way to recover. Poltergeist if it wants to be fun and run offensively. Good coverage here. Scorching Sands is a nice option for this Pokemon as well, getting some burns, especially since it doesn't have that great of a defense stat. As I looked at special defense and defense and flipped them around. Good job. I'm in Wonder Room apparently. You can set it up defensively. You can do that. Iron Defense boosts defense more. Stealth Rock is an option. Trick, Toxic is our option. Substitute if you're worried about this thing taking hits, but it's a really good option to send in with Water Compaction. You can throw it in there, even hit it with your own Pokemon for some chip damage, and get its water stab up, get its defense up 2 levels. It is honestly a very crying shame that this thing does not get body press, because that would be phenomenal on this Pokemon. But Ghost and Ground, good typing. It'll be fun to use. Up next, the Hawaii Haunters are choosing... I'm not even going to talk about this, Jimmy. You got it. I don't want to. I hate this one.
Cloyster?
I don't like Cloyster.
You don't like Cloyster?
Shell Smash. That's all it's got. Bye.
It's got Shell Armor too. Overcoat. Can it go boom?
I think so.
It can. It learns self-destruct. So it's not that bad, Chaos. It's not that bad. It can go boom. Man, that's funny. Gets access to Aurora Beam, Icicles, Crash, Spear, Toxic Spikes if you really want to do that. It can go boom, Light Screen. I'm noticing Rain Dance, Liquidation. Its defense is crazy at 180. Does it get Body Press? Probably not. I don't see Body Press. Gets access to that. So just a Water Ice Pokemon added to the Hawaii Haunters. We'll have to see exactly what it does. It does get Overcoat, protects Pokemon from weather effects and powder moves. So if it does have this Overcoat and it faces that Venusaur, it will not get put to sleep by that sleep powder. So there you go. Moving on to the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, drafting Sharpedo. We've seen a lot of Slowmons recently on this team. So going back to that rain and getting yet another water type, very strong and 120 base attack, and then of course being able to speed boost and get this thing going faster, just in case maybe Trick Room fails on this team. But yeah, speed increases each turn. Getting access to priority moves, Aqua Jet gets access to Night Slash as well. Bite. You can also use Swagger. Don't know why you would, but you could. Of course, Liquidation. So again, just to kind of go all around, making sure that we have some speed coverage as well as a very nice attacking mon.
Ooh, psychic coverage with psychic things and headbutt, which is a lot of fun. I look at this moveset and I see it can learn post combat. I'm like, what? That makes no sense, but apparently, according to Showdown, it can. Aqua Jet's a nice move. Jimmy mentioned that attack stat. That's really good there. But something also is Flip Turn as a nice option for a nice pivot on the team. You know, pair that with something like Vikavolt with that Volt Switch. You can just keep switching in and out of the team, and your opponent doesn't know what to do with it. So, I mean, you could obviously rough skin with Rocky Helmet. That could be fun. Probably not a worthwhile strategy because those defenses suck. But could be interesting. Protect's going to be a mainstay of this Pokemon. Sub could be an option as well. Maybe they don't estimate you're doing anything and they decide to do that. Night Slash is fun. Nice, powerful Dark type move which gets the crits as well as Crunch. You want to do Crunch?
This is a Dark type too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You drafted it. What type?
Yeah. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Another utility in Scale Shot to boost that speed stat even more if you want to do that, and Snarl to lower special attacking mons on the other side of the field, which can be fun. Another water type, which I don't know what our grand total is right now. Looks like, if I counted correctly, 6?
5?
5? I don't know what I thought 6 was, but 5 water types, which is fun. That's almost half a team. One we call water Pokemon. We'll see. I don't know. Up next, I'm done. Included unknowns. Taking the regular Lapras this time. You know, if you saw the Gmax section of this, we kind of talked about what Lapras can do. A little bit less usable here as a regular Lapras, but honestly still can do some work. Mostly known as a defensive Pokemon, but honestly can be a jack of all trades, master of none, and that's really where Lapras falls short. It doesn't have a lot of things it specializes in, and in a game like this, you need some specializations to pair it correctly in order to go well. So Lapras giving you that coverage might be usable, also might not be. Water and Ice, kind of a meh typing, to be fair, especially defensively. Pure water would be a lot better for this thing. But Lapras can do a lot. We talked about it earlier, so if you want to go back and watch that section, that's something you can do, but Jamie's going to cover the rest.
Yeah. I mean, again, the fact is, this thing can Dynamax, but it doesn't get access to that Gmax Residence for the Aurora Veil. So that's the only thing. It sets up Hail if it does Dynamax, if it uses a max Ice move. So that's the only difference between that. But everything else could be that you could still run potentially a weakness policy and then go Burr. But you just, like I said, you got to keep that in mind. Setting up that Aurora Veil is one of the biggest things that Gmax Lapras can do. Unfortunately, this is not the Gmax version. But it'll be cool to see how the unknowns use that. Moving on to the Sassy Squirtle, grabbing the Cantonian Weezing. Obviously with the abilities Levitate, Neutralizing Gas. Levitate obviously won't be able to get hit by ground moves. With that poison type, that is a weakness there, so that is really good. Neutralizing Gas, taking out the abilities, which is kind of annoying in all honesty. And then of course it gets a hidden ability, Stench. If this Pokemon uses a move that deals damage on the opponent, there is a chance the opponent flinches, so some flinch hacks there if they are so lucky. Weezing, generally known for its bulk, specifically in its defense, 120 defense base stats. And I don't know what else Wheezing really does other than going boom. Yeah, I'll let Chaos talk about the moves.
Weezing Jimmy's a nice defensive Pokemon. I mean, special defense 70 is not bad. I mean, if you really want to, Salt Vest, why not? You know, you get access to a lot of coverage moves. Specifically, all the moves that you wouldn't want from it, like the Heat Wave as a nice spread move, Thunder, even if you want to run into rain, Thunderbolt. Otherwise, if you don't, Sludge Wave or Sludge Bomb if you want poison stuff, Shadow Ball for some nice Ghost type coverage, or you can use Dark Pulse. Take your pick. Clear Smog, get rid of those stats on your opponent's Curse if you want to set up even more taunt if that's a problem. Toxic Spikes, Toxic Will-O-Wisp, nice ways to set up hazards and statuses on your opponents. Belch can be fun if you want to run a berry set, otherwise it's kind of rough to do. Mimic, so it can even copy itself exploding and do it again. It doesn't work that way, but I wish it did. Access to Screech for some more utility there. Spite to lower PP to maybe get rid of those scary moves that you need to save for later on. Venom Drench if you want to lower attack and special attack. It's going to be a defensive Pokemon. That's what we've talked about here, and it has a lot of ways to help out its teammates that way. So enjoy Wheezing and have a fun time with it. The only problem I have with it is it does show its ability immediately. You have no surprise factor with Wheezing because if it has Neutralize and Gas, it pops up on the screen and gets rid of all the abilities. If it doesn't, it has Levitate. So that is a downfall with using Wheezing, but one you can get by easily. Up next is the Wisconsin Woofers, and Among Us is Among Us. Here we go. I'm so surprised that as a VGC draft league, essentially, that Amoonguss has not been going until this round, because it is one of the premier. You ask people about VGC Pokemon, you think it's Cinderace, you think something scary like Dragapult, Togekiss, Rillaboom, Gmax Colossal, Gmax Lapras. Amoonguss is right up there with those people, mostly because it has the ability to use Rage Powder. And that is a very annoying move. One might even say it makes you rage a little bit. It's kind of the point of the move. It does have access to Regenerator as well, which means it doesn't die. You hit it. We talked about Venusaur not dying. This is the same typing on a Pokemon that can go out and recover its own HP without having to use a move just by switching out. Body Slam for Paras. Foul Play if you want to take advantage of those physical attackers out there. Grass Knot for those heavy mons. Stun, you got spores, like stun spores, sleep spore itself. You can do a rest talk set if you want to. It's tanky enough that it can do that. You got Giga Drain for recovery. Energy Ball if you want to lower special defense, maybe. Sludge Bomb, hey, after you. I don't know why you'd use that. But another fun move that came out recently in the last couple of generations is Pollen Puff that you can use to heal your own teammate, but also do damage to your opponent. So that would be a little bit of a fun tech to do there. And of course, as I mentioned, Rage Power is going to be primarily what you see here with Amoonguss, so we're going to have fun with that.
And of course, if you're using Rage Powder on the Amoonguss, it's got to be able to take the attacks. This thing is tanky AF. This thing is so tanky. It's very hard to take down, and with all the, like I said, with all the moves that you mentioned, it's so... I don't want to face this thing. I really don't. This is a great pickup. As you said, the fact that this thing has stayed out on the free agent pool as long as it did is a little shocking, but a nice addition to this team. It's very, very scary. Yeah, I don't think I have any more to add. Gets access to Rain Dance, Sunny Day. I don't know if you're going to actually run that stuff. But with all the weather that's going around, you just never know.
It's up to you whether you decide to use it or not.
Exactly. Moving on to the Vermont Vikavolt, picking up Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan, normal Generation 1 Pokemon, gets access to a couple of different abilities. Early Bird is a very cool ability, where sleep conditions only last half as long, and usually if you're guaranteed a turn of sleep, well, maybe it wakes up instantly. It's very, very, very scary. You put Kangaskhan to sleep and it wakes up instantly. It's like, well, that didn't do. You can also do the Scrappy. There's a handful of ghost Pokemon in this in this league, and it'll be able to hit the ghost type Pokemon with normal type and fighting moves, as well as blocking Intimidate, which is very, very nice. None inner focus. It doesn't no flinch, which is really good with Kangaskhan as well. Another tank, very high HP, 105 base defense. HP, defense and special defense at 80, and it's relatively fast at 90. It's a very well picked mon for the Vikavolt, who already has a very, very scary team. Kind of interesting to see why this is a tier 4 mon. I see its coverage, obviously a lot of normal moves, but it gets a lot of coverage moves, so this will probably be one of the best tier 4 mons you'll see out there, in my opinion. Just looking at it, really, really good. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I do like Kangaskhan.
Fake out, Scrappy. That's all I gotta say, man. That is absolutely phenomenal. You think your ghost type's fine, they're not gonna get hit by a fake out. Boop, they get hit by a fake out. Oh no, that's a problem. She's crunch to come back on it. Jimmy talked about pretty much everything I wanted to say with this mon. I really don't have much else to add. Could be a revenge killer with Retaliate, and again, that ghost typing with Scrappy doesn't, keep you safe from that. So, nice revenge killer with Retaliate there, and some setup for like rain and stand if you in sun, and why not?
Why not?
Why not? No, it's not in the strap, but maybe. Orange County Sceptiles are up next, and they choose a Combuskin, which is a tier 4 mon. Combuskin, not a fully evolved Pokemon. Don't get confused with its evolved form, Blaziken, that can actually pop up, but it does have access to the same ability, Speed Boost, which makes Blaziken absolutely busted. Part of the reason that Combuskin is around is because Blaziken is absolutely busted. But not really bad stats across the board, 60s to 80s. A little bit of slow speed with, a speed boost could be okay. Eviolite could be fun. Blaze Kick does a lot of damage, causes a lot of problems. You can even set up the speed more with a Flame Charge. Set up its attack with Power Up Punch if you feel like it. Great coverages. Dragon, Flying, access to Coaching, access to Ground type moves, access to Feather Dance to lower attack stats of your opponents. Faint to get through protects and protects. You feel so kind. Even Fury Cutter if you want to just sit there and click the same move over and over again. Give it a metronome, let it go ham. Unfortunately, it does not actually get metronome, which means it can't go boom, but it can use Mimic to mimic explosions, so that would be fun. It has access to Helping Hand too, which is really good in doubles.
Yeah, just overall a balanced mon. I'm looking at the stats. It looks very balanced. It doesn't look like it's going to be able to take hits very well. But once it starts going speed boost, it's gonna be scary. We mentioned a lot of the physical aspects, but because of its balance, this thing could be run potentially as special. Don't know how much better it would be, but you never know. You never know. Is all I gotta say. It does have a fair access to a lot of special moves. But it'll be interesting to see how this is used. Wheel pick for the Orange County Mega Sceptiles going into Lantern. So you have a firefighting into a water electric Pokemon, Volt Absorb, which is able to heal a fourth of the maximum HP when hit by electric type. It's got Water Absorb, does the same thing except with water types, and of course Illuminate, which really doesn't really do anything in battle. That's more or less for wild battles and everything. Let's take a peek quick at its stats. Not really overwhelming stats, more of defensive Pokemon, HP stat being the biggest one. 125 base, so it'll be able to tank some hits, do some damage, maybe have ways to, just be a pain. I see it gets access to Supersonic, it gets access to Thunder Wave, Confuse Wave, just kind of be that annoying nuisance that just doesn't go away. Is what I can see Lantern doing. So a nice pickup, kind of probably more or less for coverage at this point in the draft. You'll see a lot of that, I think, moving on with this round and moving forward. But a nice pick. I'm like to see what this thing will do in the actual draft or in the actual battles.
We didn't see really a water type pop out on this team, or an electric type either, and it kind of grabs both. I know that Lantern has the potential to actually go really well. Pairs absolutely awesomely with that Landorus T. You can access the discharge plus, give it an air balloon, let it do earthquake spam. Get all that coverage out there. But as Jimmy said, not really great stats across the board. There's nothing really spectacular about Lantern. It just kind of sits there. Which it's a lower tier mon. There's not a lot to expect from it. I mean, it might have a niche here or there. Maybe as a Scarper or a Specs user. As someone that can come in and take a electric type or a water type move. Other than that, really, Lantern doesn't have much. Icy Wind, nice utility. I like to mention that with special attackers because speed control is always nice and might help out some of these, mid-tier speed stat Pokemon that's on the team. Up next is the Vermont Bicavolts picking up Magmar, another coverage-looking Pokemon for the team. Again, yet to get a water type to finish that Fire Water Grass board, but this could be something that we see in Sun. A lot of coverage with Magmar. I know that Magmortar gets access to things like Thunderbolt and Psychic. I'm not sure if Magmar gets the same coverage. I would assume so, since it's a evolution of the same Pokemon. Access to Clear Smog for getting rid of sets on opponents. Focus Blast even for fighting coverage, Scorching Sea and ground coverage. Teleport even, which I never knew it could learn. Let it out, Burning Jealousy, which is fun. Incinerate maybe to deal with the Snorlax that we talked about earlier, Screech, but as utility. It's probably going to be more defensive, Eviolite tends to, these not fully evolved Pokemon tend to run Eviolite, but Magmar, 93 speed is not bad, especially with 100 special tag. You could see the Sing Scar for Specs too, and causing a lot of damage, especially in the sun.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the moves that Magmar gets, and it looks like it's going to do a lot of damage in the sun, is all I got to say. 93 base speed. It's going to definitely be one of the first things moving on the field. Maybe not the first, but definitely a close second for a majority of that. And again, like I said, you give it an Assault Vest or even an Eviolite, and its defenses go up. I see a little physical weakness there in the defense, but all in all, good. I see one of the egg moves is Mach Punch, so there's some priority there as well. Just covering the team a little bit more as we finalize this draft here. Moving on to the Wisconsin Whoopers, drafting the Galarian Rapidash. Galarian Rapidash getting Runaway, which I don't think does anything. You can't switch during that. I don't think you do that. You got Pastel Veil, protects the Pokemon and ability from being poisoned, so that can kind of help against that Toxapex there. And then Anticipation, which warns when the phone knows one-hit KO or super effective moves will be there. More than likely going to see a Pastel Veil. Rapidash is good. Just like its Cantonian form, it's more of a physical Pokemon. So it's going to use something like Zen Headbutt. If it gets, I feel like there's another psychic move that it gets. I'm trying to see. I see Stomp. I see Heal Pulse, Takedown. I don't know what other psychic moves it gets, but like I said, I do imagine Zen Headbutt is on there. It does get Ally Switch. That's always fun to deal with. I really hate that move. Um, so yeah, all in all, I see Swords Dance, so it can boost that attack power up. But I don't see anything too super impressive about Rapidash. But we'll see how it's played out throughout the season.
I do like the idea that this thing gets access to Trick Room. It can be 105 speed. You're probably not going to expect a Trick Room, but it could be something set up against something really slow, looking like I don't know, Toxapex even. That could be a nice pairing there if you want to get something going there. Mega Horn, nice coverage move, can do a lot of damage. Psycho Cut and Headbutt, nice damage there. Throat Chop and Wild Charge even for Dark and Electric coverage respectfully. We talked about Morning Sun to death, so I'm not gonna mess with that again because it's really annoying. Hypnosis, even if you want to be cheeky. Smart Strike for Steel type moves. Like, it's got some coverage to it. The only problem is it's really just kind of mediocre across the board. 70 and 80 special attack, defense, and special defense respectively. Low HP at 65, but really the speed and attack stats make it kind of usable as a nice offensive mon, but it's going to be interesting to see it work this season around. Up next on the team, we got the Sassy Squirtles choosing a Lopunny, which is always an interesting grab. Mostly because it's so much better as a Mega. But Q-Charm, Limber, and Klutz are its abilities. Klutz, really not going to see it. But Q-Charm could be fun for some nice little attack there. Limber, instead of, taking Paralyze and causing it to be a hindrance, it makes it, usable. Because it can't be paralyzed, which is great. Access to acrobatics for some of those offensive moves. Obviously, a lot of fighting type coverage since the Mega. Access to punches, including Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Triple Axle. Even if you wanna run that U-turn for utility and switching out and getting positioning. Other than that, there's really not much for me to talk about here with Lopunny. It's a lower tier mon, kind of just filling out that requirement, I think. And that's really all it is.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed is that Lopunny gets after you, and it is pretty fast, so it can kind of help with that speed that we talk a lot about in doubles. It can help out with that speed, make sure the Pokemon that you want to go next is going next. So that's the only thing I think I would add to Lopunny. It does get Splash. That'll be fun to see in a thing.
Almost an explosion.
I don't think so. I don't know. It can get Copycat though, so it can do that. It also gets access to Fake Out. You see a lot of that. Chaos mentioned Triple Axle, but it does get Copycat, so it could copy the explosion. So it's close enough. Moving on to the Ultimate Unknowns, picking up Flareon, a Fire-type evolution, Flash Flare, or Guts. Guts is actually a really good ability. And just overall, its attack stat is really good as it is, a base 130. But overall, it does have a nice special attack, so it could be run either or. You'll basically see, you'll maybe see a physical attacking Flareon. It's got good special defense, but all in all, you get that Guts ability, but because it's a fire type, you can't exactly burn it. And you really don't want to be Toxic Orb. Unfortunately, badly poisons the Pokemon, so you get that extra residual damage each and every turn with the poison with the Toxic Orb. So that's usually not, you don't usually see that, but that seems to just be the better ability of Flareon. But it does hit very hard if it does get it in there, but for the most part, I don't see too much coverage personally, but it does get access to a lot of powerful fire type moves, particularly Flare Blitz. Sounds like it hurts.
Even Flareon could be run specially. 110 special attack. Not 95 special attack. Sorry. really nice. It could also be utility. You got Heal Bell. A lot of evolutions get the screens as well. You get good special moves too with Weather Ball and different weather, Scorching Sands. Nice way to burn things. Shadow Ball even. Speaking of burn, Will-O-Wisp can be a thing. Yawn can be a thing to cause the Force Switch out. Fake Tears as utility. Mimic to copy Explosion. Mystical Fire is there too as well. Skull Bash, you want to boost that defense stat and you want to be cheeky, guess that's fine. You just go for it. Tickle even, I mean, Flareon's got some coverage there. The only problem is it's a bit slow and a bit frail on that defensive side. HP's not great either, so you know, Earthquake or something, it's probably going to go down, making it not that great of a Pokemon to have. And as I said with evolutions, they tend not to have a lot of awesome coverages, so it's what you expect from a Flareon. Kind of probably just budgeting points here, I would say, if I had to take a guess, but it does finish that Fire Water Grass Floor, so that's always fun. Pokemon Dreadnoughts are up next. They're grabbing a Porygon, and I know I did not say Porygon 2, I did not say a Porygon Z, I said Porygon, the original, the one and only Porygon. Very fun Pokemon, especially with Eviolite, because honestly, it's not too much worse than Porygon 2. I mean, 20 less HP stat, 20 less defense, 20 less special defense. You're basically seeing 20 less in every stat. That's how this works. But it's a nice lower tier mon, nice budget pick to grab in that bottom tier there. Eviolite can be an option. Would not recommend a choice item, but you know, probably Eviolite. You know, protect, maybe Pain Split, Toxic, making itself more of a defensive Pokemon. Can set up Trick Room itself. So you can need something else to do that later in the game, or you know, if you don't want to run an ED Header Beam off the bat, it's a thing. Something to know about Porygon, does have access to Ally Switch, can switch around the Pokemon on the field, as well as has Conversion to Conversion 2, so it can change its typing to be a little bit more tricky on the field, especially if you want to take advantage of those Toxics. Access to Electro Web as a nice tactical move. You want to put something in your sleeve. It's got Dream Eater, can mimic the explosion again. You know, that's always fun. Solar Beam in the sun. Wonder Room, you switch defensive stats around, which could be interesting. Speed swap to make something that's, you know, super fast, really slow. A nice tactical move it could do. Recycle for berries. It's got a lot of attack that it can use, but you're probably going to see the Eviolite in more of a defensive set.
Yeah, I think that's probably what this is going to be used for. You mentioned earlier it's like another way to set up Trick Room. It does get access to Rain Dance, so it's just kind of covering if other things fail and whatnot. And again, it's like just kind of filling out the requirements of the draft. But I think you covered pretty much everything that I was going to talk about. I just wanted to, you know, it's another way to set up some of the things that that might not been set up earlier on in the draft or in the battle. Last pick of this round for the Hawaii Haunters, going with a Selgor. A Selgor, very nice pick here, I think, and very, very fast Pokemon. Base speed is 145, so one of the fastest Pokemon we have seen. Not the fastest, but pretty good. Getting that hydration or a sticky hold Pokemon item cannot be taken, which is nice. Hydration, all status problems are healed while it's raining, so you can't burn this thing or anything while it's raining. It's just good. And of course it has Unburden as its hidden ability. Speed doubles if its held item is consumed, as if it needs to go faster. Water Shuriken is one of its biggest moves that I may or may not see it used all the time. I think there are honestly better moves that it could be doing. I want to look at its attack. It's more specially attack than physically, so you'll see it run specially. Not the greatest of defenses. HP is a little on the higher side, so a little tanky, but all in all, not super defensive. Gets access to not too much access to particular moves. But yeah.
It does have a bit of coverage there around, as well as U-turn for nice switching in and out. Knockoff, even if, I mean, you're not going to see a physical side, but it does have knockoff for item removal, which could be something we see. I mean, hey, it does have a lot of really good physical moves, so why not? Somebody just try it and see how it goes. But this is a really fast Pokemon, a really nice candidate for like choice specs. Is that 100 attack stat plus with a 145 speed stat, fully invested. That's going to put you about 400 on both, and then some on a special attack. So you're going to do some massive damage, put some walls in some teams, and can honestly be a lot of fun. But Jimmy covered pretty much everything I wanted to say. So we'll move on to the next pick for the White Haunters. Picking up the penultimate round with Skuntank. The very fun Pokemon here. Poison and Dark type means it's only weak to ground with. Stench can cause flinches that way. Aftermath, you want to be cheeky and get an additional KO somewhere. Keen Eye if you don't want to lose stats. Speaking of stats, it's pretty neutral across the board. That HP stat at 103 is probably the most notable thing. The rest are just kind of meandering through the 60s and 90s, somewhere in that 30 points. Pretty good attack stat, all things considered. But I definitely see this more of a defensive Pokemon. Memento could be something to use to lower the stats of the opponents. Sucker Punch for priority, which is also fun. Tail Slap if you want multiple hits. Corrosive Gas for getting rid of held items. Poison Gas to poison foes. Toxic. Venom Drench even. So a lot of things that can do. Snarl for utility. It's also stab. So nice defensive Pokemon most likely, but you know, don't be surprised to see this thing offensive too.
If you do manage to take it down, you got the Aftermath ability, which does a lot of fourth damage of maximum HP. It does a lot of damage there. Keen Eye and Stench are the other abilities there. I don't have too much to add of what Chaos said here. Sucker Punch, I see Memento, Explosion. I didn't know the skunk could explode. That's actually really cool. Gets access to Nasty Plot if you want to run it specially, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, just a nice pick, kind of, like I said, rounding out these teams as we continue to finalize this draft. Speaking of rounding out teams for the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, we have a Graplock. Graplock is the not water type Pokemon. Very high attack stat at 118. Getting that ability, a Technician, moves base power is 60 or less, are increased by 50%. So if you have a base power of 60, it becomes 90, which is really, really good. With that, I could see that being used with something like, I'm trying to look here. What is here? I see Revenge. Revenge is at a base 60, so that could be 90. Although Revenge's user has been hurt, it is doubled already. So depending on how it is, but there's probably other moves that it could be used on. Again, more or less just rounding out the team, filling the points requirements, and he gets access to coaching, raising that attack stat. Yeah, I don't have too much to say more about Graplock.
Pretty good attack stat at 118. And also nice Trick Room Pokemon too at 42 speed.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be usable in those ways. It gets a lot of fighting type moves, not really a lot of coverage. I mean, you see some punches occasionally here and there. Taunt could be fun in Trick Room. Octozooka if you want to be, you know, lowering accuracy maybe. Skitter Smack for lowering special attacks. Hopsy Turvy changing stat changes, which could be fun on some Pokemon. So, you know, you might max out your speed on something and nope, now you're at 0 speed, have fun. But yeah, Jimmy covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about, and nice fighting type coverage for this team here. Up next, we got Sableye, and you want to talk about some prankster. We got some prankster shenanigans. That's what this thing knows. That's what this thing loves. That's all it basically does, because it doesn't have any stats. It literally is very... Its highest stat is 75. Like, that's saying something. But we're obviously seeing that unrestricted tier stay open right now. That restricted tier being open right now with those legendaries, so this could be a fun little setup for that. Prankster is very annoying. For the turn it's going to be alive, Sableye could do something very destructive to your team. Taunt, Toxic, Will-O-Wisp. Can do a lot of statuses, can lower your stats with, I forgot what the move is called now. I lost what the move is called. The one that lowers your special attack 2 stages. Squash, even, to force targets to move later. It's got a lot of things utility-wise to cause problems for your team. So, expect to see Taunt, expect this thing not to live that long, and honestly just be there to kind of support its teammate.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this is, and you see this used all the time. I say all the time, maybe not so much all the time. But I really love Sableye. It gets a lot of coverage with that prankster ability. It usually goes first. Quash, it can make things move last. So continues to manage those speed tiers and throughout the battles. It gets access, I believe, to Rain Dance, to Sunny Day. And to kind of get away from the stats thing, I think it also gets what's it called? Nightshade, which does 50 damage because everything will be set at level 50, and it's guaranteed to be, 50. So it's just it's a nice prankster Pokemon. It's probably, I think, personally my favorite prankster Pokemon because it just does very well. Just don't get hit by a fairy move, and it's good. It's just good. Moving on to the Sassy Squirrels, drafting Lilligant. Lilligant, grass-type Pokemon, getting Chlorophyll. So that means that if you have anything in the sun, it's going to go much faster. Own tempo as well, which means it cannot be confused. Blocks Intimidate. And then a hidden ability, Leaf Guard, prevents Pokemon from being affected by status conditions also in the sunlight. So keep Lilligant out of the sun, and it's kind of a non-threat with the abilities there. Taking a look at its stats, kind of neutral across the board with the exception of special attack stat. It does hit pretty hard at 110 special attack. Fairly fast at a base speed of 90, so you definitely want to watch out for its special attack. Gets Petal Dance, but then it becomes confused, although didn't it just say it has own temple? It cannot be confused, so there's a strat right there. There's a strat. Gets Quiver Dance, Aromatherapy, Sleep Powder. This thing can kind of be a pain after you. I see this thing kind of a pain. A nice pick towards the end of the draft for the Sassy Squirtles.
Yeah, it picks up that nice grass type that you needed, and Lilligant can do a lot too. Pollen Puff a Knight adds to its utility as like a cleric Pokemon. It does have access to Aromatherapy as well, and of course, a lot of healing moves through Grass Stab. And you can set up Leaf Seed to cause some problems. Another strategy with that own tempo, it could be Teeter Dance coming off of your teammate, and then you're just not getting confused by it. So causing your opponent to be both confused, and then getting maybe set up like a Quiver Dance on this thing, let it go off. Very offensive, can also be a nice Pokemon for Cleric in this, and also just to help out your teammates. So a good grab, honestly, here later in the draft. Finishing that Firewater Grass Score. I almost said Firewater Dragon, but that's wrong. That's alright. Constant Wooper's up next. They're choosing the Psychic Cat Pokemon, which is Meowstic. This is specifically the male form. Meowstic male and female were split simply because of the the difference in the ability here with Prankster and competitive being hidden abilities. This is the Prankster one because it's male, which, as we've talked about, is just really annoying and set up screens. Thunder Wave, Yawn, Trick, Toxic, you name it, status wise, non-damage wise, it's got it. It can do it. So that's what we're probably going to see with this thing. I doubt it's going to be using much else besides this. So enjoy Prankster here. Infiltrator's not bad though.
No, but I see Meowstic use Prankster. Prankster is annoying. That's all I gotta say. I don't have much to add. It can do a lot of different things with Prankster, and yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's fast as it is, 104 base speed, but yeah, the Prankster, have fun, yay! We've talked about it so much throughout this draft. It's basically the same thing. Moving on to the Vermont of Vikavolt, drafting Exploud. Exploud, a normal type, soundproof ability, but also with another scrappy, being able to hit those ghost types with normal and fighting type moves. Does this thing get fake out? I don't see it right off the bat. So you don't have to worry about that, but you got like Boom Burst, moves like Boom Burst, Hyper Voice. Let me just take a peek at its stats. Not hitting too hard, could be special or physical, kind of balanced. Very defensive, HP is stat at 104, so it hits relatively hard, tanks some hits, and again, probably more or less just covering the requirements for the tiers for this, but another nice pickup for the already scary Vikavolts. It's going to be very interesting to face this team.
Yeah, fun strategy here. Invest in that special attack, give it Boom Burst, and let it have Throat Spray, and let this thing go off. Can be a lot of fun. Normal types come with a lot of coverage. Explode's no exception, and Jimmy covered pretty much everything with it. It's got a lot of things it can do. I know I'm being very vague, but yeah, it depends on the set you build. And not a bad grab. Not a bad grab at all. Orange County Mega Subtitles taking this last pick of this penultimate round here. Grabbing Arctovish, getting a water and ice type here. One of the fossil Pokemons from this generation, which means it gets access to one of the fossil moves, which is a lot of fun. And this one specifically is access to Fishious Rend, which we talked about with Dragofish. You know, it's a bit slower. It's really slow. It's 55 base speed. Can be run in Trick Room to sort of do the same thing that Dragofish would do outside of Trick Room. Scarf is always a possibility, or even, you know, setting up with Hail and letting it use Slush Rush, which is its hidden ability. Can be something. Ice Body to recover to, more of a defensive Pokemon if you want to run it that way. Got good defensive stats, 90 across the board, except for defense at 100 and speed at 55. It's not a bad Pokemon. Pretty good. Slightly worse than a mythical Pokemon, I might say, but has accessing like Freeze Dry, making it useful against water types itself, and also not take damage. So that's always fun. Coverage and Psychic Fangs and Rock moves, Zen Headbutt even. Meteor Beam if you want to be cheeky like that and use like a White Herb or something like that. With Power Herb, I think is what I meant to say, but still, a lot of things it can do. Relatively shallow move pool, I will say, but yeah, it can be defensive, but it's most likely going to be a pretty interesting Pokemon to see.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much to add. Water, Ice, Fossil, Pokemon. It's gonna tank hits. It's gonna dish out some hits. It's just gonna be slow doing it. I think that's kind of a nice sum up for this mon. But very nice, works well with the team, gives it a nice coverage, as Chaos said. And the final round begins now with the snake pick with the Orange County Mega Sceptiles drafting their final Pokemon, which is Unpheasant. On Pheasant, it gets 2 different forms depending on male or female. This one wasn't like the Meowstic. It didn't matter which one it did, but it gets access to big packs, super luck, which means it can do more crits. Big pets is prevents Pokemon from lowering defense, and then of course you get rivalry. If it's the same gender, it is increased. If it's the stats, attack and special attack is increased. Otherwise, it's decreased if it's the opposite gender. So super luck, you can run a lot of crit moves with Unpheasant, which is which is really cool. Crit's going to be very, very annoying. Relatively fast, 93 base speed, 115 attack. Gets access to the new dual wing beat, which is a really nice move. Brave Bird, Hurricane. I can see it agility, so it can go faster. All in all, I'm not upset about this pick. It kind of also covers the team very well. And like I said, you can do some major crit damage with this.
It works also as a nice pivot with U-turn there. I see Landorus up there on the list too, and even things like Lantern with the Volt Switch as well. So a nice pivot core here on the team. It's not really doing anything super awesome. It's a normal flying type. It's a regional bird. Mediocre to above average stats. It's what you would expect from this thing. Heat Wave's nice for doubles. Mm-hmm. Jimmy kind of covered everything. I mean, you got Feather Dance to lower attack, which can be fun. Sky Attack if you want to use, the item to boost it. Psych up to copy stat changes is always interesting. And Hypnosis, nice little coverage there in the back. Not a bad final grab for the team. Vermont Vigil is coming up with Shino, which can be Shin pain in the butt, more likely, because Skill Link and Technician are 2 really good abilities, which, block out Q-Charm, and I love Q-Charm, but Skill Link can be fun because you get access to things like Rock Blast, you get access to things like Tail Slap and Bullet Seed, I believe. I might be wrong on that, don't quote me. It does get Bullet Seed, so cool. So you should get 5 hits out of those kind of moves. Set it up with Swords Dance or something, let it go off. A lower tier Mon that's kind of underrated in a lot of aspects and things. But it's usable in some situations. Specifically, things like have Surdy or Focus Sash that you might expect. It can be counters to that. Honestly, I think it's just a grab at the end of the draft. It's what it is. It's a normal type. It's going to be malleable and work on the team. Knockoff's fun too.
Knockoff, it's fast. Does it get speed swap? It gets after you, so that's kind of cool. The fact that it's fast gets after you. Kind of control that speed tier, so gotta be worried about that. Helping Hand, Baby Doll Eyes. So nice pick to wrap up the Vermont Vikavolt team. We look forward to that. I think this is where the Whoopers got skipped. Yes. Am I correct? Yes. Yeah, because they unfortunately missed a pick, but that's okay. So now we have the Sassy Squirtles drafting Ditto. And Ditto is relatively simple. It can do anything. It use the ability Imposter. That way, unless you legit want to transform into the particular Pokemon, which I'm not even sure if you can do. I don't know, but the ability Imposter is really good. But Ditto all around, if it doesn't transform, you're not going to do anything with it. If it does transform, cool. Nice pick at the end.
Ditto is very annoying. There's a reason I banned it in singles mostly because if you get the ability to set up in your opponent's face, this is the way to it's a cheap way to counter it because you just get it for nothing. You steal all the stat changes, you steal everything, you can run Choice Scarf faster and outspeed, and there you go.
Yeah.
Because honestly, Ditto's not. It doesn't matter that Ditto has Choice Scarf only has 5 attacks in one move. Just switch it out, bring it back in later. Let it do the same thing over and over again. It's a way to shut down the setup sweepers that just causes problems for so many teams. And honestly, you gotta prepare for fighting yourself. You played Ocarina of Time, you fight Shadow Link, you gotta conquer yourself. That's how it works.
Yep.
Up next, we got the Ultimate Unknowns taking the Urshifu, and I believe this one is specifically a single strike form, which is the Dark and Fighting type, if I recall correctly. And Urshifu is going to fulfill that restricted tier. Urshifu, very good in a lot of senses, mostly because of Unseen Fist, which is... It just hits all contact moves. Like, protect, useless. Detect, useless. Sub, okay, maybe. Not really.
Maybe. Yeah.
Good coverage is great typing, honestly, for an offensive Pokemon. Quad weak to Fairy, that's a problem. If you move fast enough, you get some speed IVs. Not bad. 130 attack stat, 100 in both HP and defense. Can be a defensive team on the physical side. Special was very lackluster. But, Assault Vest fixes that a little bit there if you want to run it that way. Wicked Blow always gives a crit. There you go. Why would you not run it? U-turn. You got pivots. But honestly, this thing has got a lot of really good options. There's a reason it's restricted in a lot of tiers, so it'll be fun to see.
Yeah, probably the best pick in the last one, the Ultimate Unknowns, waiting until the very end to grab the restricted tier, and what a restricted tier it is. It's just a really good mon. We're not going to see the Gmax version of this because they already picked their Gmax Pokemon. I actually don't think... I'm pretty confident that we didn't restrict the Gmax, just nobody picked them. So I don't know how much to add to what Chaos said. This thing's just a beast. It's very... I don't know what else to add, really. It's just a beast. And yeah. Moving on to the last pick for the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, the not so beastie Pawniard. The Dark Steel type has the ability to Defiant. Attack stat is raised 2 stages if a stat is lowered. This pick was just to kind of cover I didn't have any steel typing, but it does well. Attack stat is 85, pretty rough all the way around. Eviolite is a thing that this thing could run to kind of help with those with those low defenses. But again, it's like for the most part, this thing was just grabbed to cover the steel typing that I really wanted. Get Swords Dance, that can be really fun. Metal Sound, and then of course, where is it? Night Slash. I think it gets Night Slash somewhere. I don't know. Yeah.
Let's say knockoff on this list too, but knockoff is a Gen 7 exclusive for this Pokemon. So unless you want to go back and grab it, have fun doing that. But yeah, it's a good Pokemon in Little Cup. Honestly, one of the premier Little Cup Pokemon. Mostly because that really good attack stat. I mean, hey, Trick Room, Banded, or something could do some work. Access some utility there. Although I would assume if you're going to bring this, it's going to be primarily for that steel typing, Iron Head damage there for flinches. But I mean, hey, Sucker Punch could be fun. Nice utility. Choice Band Sucker Punch. Have fun with it. It does some work sometimes. Hawaii Hunters grabbing the last pick for them is a Throw, and they definitely did not throw with this pick, despite what the name on the screen says. Really good abilities and Guts into Focus and Mold Breaker has access to get through those other abilities in Mold Breaker, which honestly is just really good. His abilities can stuff your team. very, very nicely. So being able to get around that is good. Low special attack, you're not going to use it anyway. Speed is abysmal. You see some of that Trick Room still here. But that HP at 120, attack at 100, and defense is both sitting at 85. This thing could be an offensive or an offensive Pokemon physically. Unfortunately, that's what you're going to know that's what it is. Gets a lot of coverage moves, things like Thunder Punch, Zen Headbutt even. Dark type moves, knockoff was on the list. I'm not sure if that's Gen 7 or not. Fire Punch, Earthquake. You get coverage for days, and it can be a very scary Pokemon, so don't sleep on Throw, and this is definitely not a Throw.
No. It's not at all. I saw something that it gets, I don't know if this would be something that the Hawaii Hunters would run, but it does get Rain Dance and Sunny Day, Helping Hand. But I'm sure you'd probably want to attack with that as well. Just a really nice pick to round out this this team. Really nice. Yeah, I don't think there's much more that I can really say about that. Also gets access to Protect. We haven't talked too much about Protect in this draft. Protect is can be basically learned by almost any mon. If you have a perfectly timed Protect, it's it can be very annoying. So very nice pick to round out the Hawaii Hunters. And the last pick of the draft goes to the Wisconsin Whoopers, making up their miss pick, and they choose a Pyukumuku. Pyukumuku, water type with the Innards Out ability. Also, hidden ability is Unaware. Innards Out, of course, decreases the amount of HP of the last attack. The attacker landing the finishing hit. Yep, equal to its last HP. So, a very, I guess, rough ability if you're facing it, but it does a lot of damage. One of the slowest mons we've seen here, base speed of 5. Base speed of 5. You definitely want to use this, maybe potentially in Trick Room, but I see this more on the defensive side. Special defense and defense equal at 130. Special attack is basically not there. Attack is at 60. HP is 55, but it's just kind of being there to just kind of be one of those pain mons. It can get toxic, pain split, taunt, helping hand. It's just kind of be there to support the rest of the team.
It's going to be there to be stalling. That's all it's going to be there for. You look through its moveset, it has 2 moves that attack, and they are Counter and Mirror Coat, which require you to take damage and hit back. So those are going to be guaranteed. You give yourself, maybe... if you want to be cheeky, throw a Quash. Why not? If you want to just be straight supportive, you don't even give yourself Counter and Mirror Coat. Just Memento or Taunt or Toxic, or throw a Gasher Acid up there. Get rid of abilities. Use Swagger or Soak to change typings. Recycle. Just sit there and recycle berries over and over again. Honestly, very annoying Pokemon. Very slow. Very defensive, and that's all it's going to be there for. It's kind of a mini Toxapex in many regards, so. Honestly, putting both of those on the field at the same time would be a nightmare for a lot of teams. It's gonna be something I think that just was grabbed, kind of to be cheeky at the end of the draft here. Well, friends, thank you for checking out the entirety of the stream. I know you guys all sat here and watched the entire thing. Nobody left whatsoever. I know that's how that worked. But of course, if you did enjoy it, make sure you check myself out through the links in the chat as well as in the description down below, and definitely go check out Jimmy on his platforms on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter for more updates from him. If you want to see the double side of things, Jimmy is one of the coaches for that of the Herkimer Dreadnoughts. I think a few other the coaches are also uploading videos on their channel, so stay tuned for all the updates from them. Week 1 has started already. It started 10 hours ago. Yeah, it started 22 hours ago. So at the beginning of the day today, so it was here. If you want to see more from both of us, you can check out our collaborative projects over on the Visible Corporation. Tomorrow wraps up our Star Fox series, so definitely make sure you go check that out. Jimmy, anything else you would like to say before we wrap up the stream tonight?
I just look forward to a well-fought season. It should be a lot of fun. I look forward to all of the shenanigans that's going to happen. That is for sure. We do appreciate you, holding down the fort. I know this was a lot longer than the singles podcast. It actually finished in a decent amount of time. I thought we were going to go a little further, so I'm happy about that. So yeah.
So we appreciate your guys' time. We appreciate you guys' support of the Premier Draft League. We'd love to see you guys, whether that be single or doubles. Of course, I will be doing singles on my side. If you missed the singles stream like this, did it last week. And also, shameless plug for me, my draft analysis went out earlier today. So if you want to check that out, see what I'm rocking with, you definitely can do so. Week 1's already started. Coaches, if you're out there, make sure you're planning your matches, both singles and doubles. Unless you're Jimmy, you have a match this week. So make sure you are getting that prepared. But again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you hit that like button to help boost the stream. We love to see the support on the series. And catch all of our coaches whenever you can. And enjoy the season. Sit back and relax. There'll be more news to come in future seasons once we wrap up this season and figure everything out. Of course, we're all competing for glory as well as just for fun. So we'd love to have you guys in future seasons as well as supporting us throughout this one. So thank you again for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. And until next time, my name is Chaos. His name is Yimage, and we will see you guys in the battle starting this week. So until then, stay safe, and as always, burn it up.